Welcome back to another night of Shtick with Koolfrogg. Yeah, I know. I'm late. Say as you will. I'm late. Now, here's the thing. Guess who else is late? America Shirts. America Shirts, where are you? Y'all know what to do. You got to chant for him. You got to chant for him and summon him. Summon him to actually come and join me and deal with some um, maybe some heavy topics, some light topics that deal with world politics in news. Let's say hi to everybody here real quick. That's actually here. Um, Andrea was first one. Tweety US News says second. TR said third. I'm glad you're all here. Thank you for showing up. Rabbit, good to see you. What else we got here? Leany, hi. How you doing? Thermo, good vibes to you, brother. JMK. What's up, man? How's it going? Good to see you. Grenade, how you doing, dude? Yeah, well, we're all late. You're not the only one that's late. I just started not even a minute ago. So, as far as that goes, it's all right. It's totally all right. Melissa Jane, good to see you. Good to see you. Um, you know, as far as tonight goes, news and politics, there will be a Rumble exclusive at the end. So if anybody hasn't already gone over to the Rumble side of things and subscribed over there, you probably should do that so that way you don't miss what's coming up. And okay, there's absolutely nobody over there at the moment. Let's see if we can't get some people over there. Let's go. Um, let's start off, China. China. It's all about China. It's always been about China, and it's always going to be about China. China's not going to ever go away. They're always going to have something that they're going to have to say about everything. Why? Because they always feel the need to actually interject in all world affairs. Kind of sort of similar to what you actually see with the United States. Always interjecting in everybody else's world affairs. It's I see there's a couple people sitting around. I wonder why he hasn't come over here yet. Let's go, Shirts. Come on, buddy. I see you. I see you. Can't tell me I can't. I don't see you because I do. So, real quick, before I actually go too far, I'm going to actually go pop over there real quick and see if I can't convince him to come join me real fast. Give me one. Okay, so it sounds like he's actually going to come join me here in a short bit. We'll give him a little bit of time to actually shut down with the people that he's actually with. See if see what happens here. Let's see if maybe Jimmy might come join us too. So do some cover some news. So while he's taking his time getting here, I'm gonna actually start this first article. Like I said, China. It's all about China. So this is China. It says it seeks role in Ukraine peace settlement. So I mean, as opposed to just allowing, what's already occurring to uh, go into peace talks. Every world leader's like, well, wait a minute, you're gonna go into peace talks. So I want something to do with that. I totally want something to do with it. So, Tweety US News, I see over on the Rumble side as well as beautifully inappropriate. Thank you for joining that side. I'll do you all a solid here real quick because I see that there's a question about it, and I'll go and I'll post the Rumble link for you on the YouTube side. You can go over there. You can join the conversation there, or however, join both conversations. That could be fun. It could be very interesting. Article says the foreign minister of China, who has provided strong political backing for Russia in its invasion of Ukraine, said his country wants to play a role in ending the conflict. The Voice of America reported King Zhang told participants that the security conference in Beijing that China was concerned an almost year-long war could escalate further and spin out of control. China would continue to urge peace talks and provide Chinese wisdom to bring about a political settlement. The foreign minister of China, who has provided strong political backing in Russia in the invasion of Ukraine, is it the same freaking paragraph? Kind of almost seemed that way, didn't it? Voice of America, Qing Zhang, told participants at the security conference in Beijing that China is concerned almost a year-long war to escalate further and spin out of control. China would continue to urge peace talks and provide Chinese wisdom to bring about a political set of Chinese wisdom. Really? Chinese wisdom? That's what we're actually looking at. We're looking at Chinese wisdom now. Okay, they're the all smart, wise ones. They're the ones that are going to actually tell us how to make peace with others and stop killing, removing people from face of the planet. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that they just so happen to have the wisdom on how to actually do this to bring about political settlement. Oh, there he is. America shirts.
I mean,
what is up?
Canada.
Is it? It seems like they're going down too.
Oh well, I mean, I didn't know we were talking about going up. I mean, if we're talking about going down, well then, yeah,
We're speaking of that right there. Chinese wisdom. Chinese wisdom will actually help us. With this war
great. Chinese
between
wisdom.
Russia and Ukraine. Yeah, Chinese wisdom.
Oh,
Chinese wisdom is going to totally fix it.
You get some Chinese duck sauce on top of it. Make it very good. Did I say something to you?
Dang it. The Rumble side's not working correctly right now. There's an issue. There's an issue. They're sitting over there like, why isn't this working? What is this doing? And it's playing the little clip that you have to put in there to actually start it off with over and over again. Because I didn't get it set up in there correctly.
Inner City Pigeon says Chinaman once say, "He who chases cars all day will soon become exhausted."
Such a boomer. Damn. Okay, let's see if I can't fix that.
Rumble is playing Alex Jones, says Twitter US News. I mean, hey, that's pretty good content.
Yeah, it's playing the edited clip of Alex Jones talking to Elon Musk and Joe Rogan.
Freaking interdimensional aliens.
It's the Joe Rogan one. So let me see if I can't edit and fix this here real quick. Okay, so that's fixed. And I just have to turn on in here this one. Save changes. And now we should actually be live over on Rumble.
Hello, Rumble. Oh, Yimmy YouTube says, hope you all have a
Yes.
great show. Well, thank you, Yimmy YouTube. Comrade Jimmy Gelishnikov. Slavic
Hope you
Ukrainian.
guys
Okay.
have a great show. Oh, okay. I mean, I threw him a link if you wanted to join us, so he must be busy.
Charlemagne says, I only listen to Alex on Rumble. It's always on, though. I mean,
There
hey,
you
as
go.
long as you
They're
listen to
saying
Alex,
yes, it's live. So okay, that worked. That worked. So Rumble is up and going now. So anybody that
Rumble,
does want to go
Rumble.
go
Hello,
check it
Rumble.
out.
Hello.
Go. You get into
Rumble.
too much of a conversation here, you might find yourself in a better conversation over there where you can actually use choice words.
Oh, okay.
So it says China would continue to urge peace talks to provide Chinese wisdom to bring the political settlement, he said. At, at the same time, we urge relevant countries to immediately stop adding fuel to the fire, stop shifting blame to China, and stop hyping the discourse of Ukraine today, Taiwan tomorrow. Well, I mean, okay, so we're not supposed to hype that up. Don't talk about
No,
Taiwan.
you're
Don't
not
look at
supposed to hype
Taiwan.
up. Orders
Don't,
after CCP. You're not supposed to hype up.
stay away from Taiwan. Don't even think about it. It's the island of Taiwan is
Taiwan
okay.
belongs to CCP. You do
That,
not.
that island out in the
You
middle
are not
of
supposed to question.
don't question it. It's okay.
Oh, I have to hurt you.
They will take it when they want. Um, the apparent reference of the military support provided to Ukraine and the United States and its allies, as well as concerns that China is preparing to make good of its threats to use force to assert its claim over Taiwan, a self-governing island democracy. Self-governing island democracy. It's not China. But yet again, they have the tendency to actually think that it is. They think it's
Don't
theirs.
trust China. China is at home. Anyway, that's a
Oh,
meme.
good night, beautifully inappropriate. She's over on the Rumble side saying good night. All right.
Oh, well, good night.
Hopefully you can catch the replay and see
Thanks
you
for
soon.
tuning in.
Yeah. As reported on Voice of America, China has refused to condemn Russia's invasion or atrocities against Ukrainian civilians and has strongly criticized Western economic sanctions against Moscow and defense to Moscow. It is yet to describe the conflict as an invasion. China and Russia have aligned their foreign policies to oppose the U.S., and weeks before the Ukraine invasion, their leaders declared a partnership with no limits. China also says Russia has provoked it into using military force by NATO's eastward expansion. So, before declared a partnership before the war started? Oh, you don't say. You don't say. You don't say that China had something to do with all of this. Voice of America reported that despite the King reiterated China's claim that it has always taken an objective and impartial stance based on the merits of the issue. China is deeply worried that the escalation of the situation and even the possibility of it going out of control. He said Chinese President Xi Jinping had put forward proposals that have played a responsible and constructive
constructive role in easing the situation, de-escalating the crisis.
without offering any details or evidence.
We will continue to promote peace talks, provide Chinese wisdom for all political settlements of Ukraine crisis, and work with the international community to provide dialogue and conclusion to address the concerns of all parties and seek common security.
China is opposed to criticism of Russia and the United Nations while insisting that the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all nations be respected, a position that underpins its claims to Taiwan, which separated from the mainland amid civil war more than 70 years ago. Wang's trip to Russia follows talks Saturday with U.S. Security State Anthony Blinken in a sidelines of International Security Conference in Munich. Blinken said that he reiterated to Wang any Chinese material support of Russian armed forces will trigger a strong response from Washington. It would trigger a strong response. So if China decides to actually support Russia in any other way, shape, or form with armament, with any type of funding or anything, it would actually escalate and trigger the United States to actually do something about that. And you can see it actually calls it out. Doesn't really just call it out as the United States. It calls it out as from Washington. Because who cares about the rest of us that live here? Let's worry about those people that are actually in Washington that are actually like, oh my God, those ones that are actually supposed to be taken care of and taking care of us, being the people that represent us. Are they actually representing us, or are they actually representing their own will out of Washington? Thus far, the U.S. says that there's no indications that China is doing so, although its close economic ties with Russia have offered a lifeline to Putin's regime. Russia, in turn, has offered strong support for China and held a series of joint military drills amid tensions with the U.S. over Taiwan, trade, human rights, and Chinese territorial claims in the South China Sea. China's foreign ministry issued a lengthy statement Tuesday outlining Xi's global security initiative, which aims to
eliminate the root causes of international conflicts, improve global security governance, encourage joint international affairs efforts to bring more stability and create to a certainty to a volatile and changing era, and promote durable peace and development in the world.
in its only reference to Russia's invasion, it said the initiative would support the political statement of hotspot issues such as the Ukraine crisis through dialogue and negotiation.
How dare you take words out of CCP's mouth? You are not authorized to speak on behalf of CCP.
Leany says, so you think we'll have another war soon? Not that we'll have another one, that it's just going to escalate more tensions around the world. It's just, it's just, if we continue to tell China that they can't support Russia, they can't do whatever, and that if they do that, it's going to actually cause tensions with with Washington. And Washington steps up and says, "Okay, so fine, we'll move some stuff into place or whatever to protect our quote unquote assets that are over in that region," and that's going to cause more tension from China, which would eventually snowball into a little bit more of a war than what we're already dealing with.
Rabbit
Is like
is
a
in the
Cold
chat.
War? Yeah, potentially. When you actually speak of Cold War, I mean, you actually got to actually think about India at the same time. So I mean, there's some interesting stuff going on there.
Rabbit's in the chat, and
Rabbit?
who I don't know, he or she or whoever. I don't post on YouTube. This is just a YouTube account thing, so I can float around and chat and other people's stuff.
Sure.
I post on the Rumbles, so nobody go subscribe over there and expect anything because it's not happening.
Yeah, don't expect something to happen on that YouTube channel if you go over there and subscribe to it. Not that you can't subscribe to it, but
you should go to Rumble.
But yeah, definitely hit that Rumble side for him.
Totally go with that. There he is. 20 years Sanu says the fake accent is horrific. How do you know that I'm not Asian? I mean, they also said that like I'm pushing the YouTube boundaries. I mean, first off, how do you know that I'm not Asian? Secondly, I'm a T-shirt. I can be as racist as I want. I can be as racist as I freaking want. Because I'm not one of you people. Like I'm a shirt. I'm a T-shirt. So it's fine. It's fine.
If Orange Man Bad was an office, then no. But who knows? I mean, I see Tweety News sitting over on that Rumble side asking that question. If Orange Man Bad was still in office, would we be in this current conflict?
No,
I don't. I don't think so. I really don't. I don't
because
think
the
any of this would
Ukrainian
occur.
conflict was caused initially by the Russians finding out that the U.S. along with the Ukrainians were going to push militarily right up to the Russian border and take out the Donbass. And that was why they reacted in February of last year as they did, which would have been a year to the day of the 24th, which was just last Friday. That was why that happened. That's why the US knew exactly when they were going to do what they were going to do, because they were the ones that were causing the whole ringamaroo over there, because they're the ones that initiated the whole thing. So they're the ones who found out, oh, look, now the Russians are responding to us, because they're the ones with the timeline to attack themselves. So they were going to take their people that they've always had in Ukraine, of course, because it's like, oh, well, it's not official military, but it is, but it isn't, but it isn't, but it is. You know how that goes. Some undressed, not unofficially dressed. What do they call that? De-uniformed? No, it's not de-uniformed. It's like ununiformed, whatever. Military over there that they've always had over there, and they were going to do things like that and push clear up to the border, and Russia was like, no. So if the Orange Man was in, then that he would have not authorized that to go down. He would have not authorized that to happen. No provoking of the Ruskies would have happened, and this would not have happened at the time in which it did. It may now. This was probably going to happen at some point.
I was just going to say, not that would have prevented it.
Well, I mean, because of all the things that the Ukrainians, Slavic Ukrainians, were doing themselves, but it did definitely push it to the timeline that we see in front of us, which was very. I mean, it was very abrupt. It was like all of a sudden Russia's not there, now all of a sudden they are, and it's like, huh? And it's like, oh yeah, because of all of the shenanigans. So that's how that happened. So if the Orange Man was in there, that wouldn't have happened. And also China would have been a little bit of a back foot as well. But now it's like, oh well, we're gonna let the Chinese do whatever. But then, oh, now we're gonna go on a war footing with them. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh okay. So, anyways, that's like a very very quick, very broad.
So then,
holistic rundown.
Finish this article out here real quick. So this is at a daily briefing, Foreign Minister's spokesperson Wang Wenbin criticized military aid provided to Ukraine by the U.S. and its allies, saying that. Wang, are you with me?
Yes. Comprehensive strategic partnership with Russia is based on non-alignment, non-confrontation. Wait, am I reading? Am I reading the wrong one?
Yeah, you're way down here. This is a.
Oh, sorry. I was just like jumped to the screen and saw the word Wang. Wang. The U.S. claims to maintain peace, but actually is making money from the crisis. There are enough facts to show the true nature of the U.S. as a source of trouble rather than a defender of peace for the world. Wang.
The U.S. committed about $113 billion to aid the Ukraine since last year, while European allies have committed tens of billions of dollars more and welcomed millions of Ukrainian refugees who have fled the conflict. So when you look at the numbers, you're like, I've had people actually say, well, all these other countries are actually throwing up money too. They've actually spent more money than what the U.S. has. They've actually sent more money than almost any other, because they're trying to protect themselves, being that they're so close. And it's like, well, tens of billions, 113 billion. I really don't know how many tens of billions of dollars all these European allies have actually really sent, and if any
it's
other
all been
countries
burned
really
up,
sent
and
more.
it's all been thrown into people's personal bank accounts, used to buy and sell weapons, not for the Ukraine conflict, but for other things elsewhere in the world, because none of those people care, because they're getting flooded with cash, so they're going to take what isn't used for their war thing and do whatever they want with it. That's kind of the whole point.
Right. So it says such aid is funded by the U.S. and other foreign taxpayers, with Ukraine under no obligation to provide repayment, as it seeks to withstand renewed Russian attempts to regain territory it had earlier conquered, Wing also defends China's comprehensive strategic partnership with Russia as based on non-alignment, non-conformant, and non-targeting of third parties, which is within the sovereignty of two independent countries. Which two independent countries do you think? Oh, right. Oh, third parties, non confrontation and non targeting of third parties. So, uh, though they're there, they're told to keep it in their own realm. Don't go attacking all these other countries that are nearby. Leave Belarus alone. Leave Moldova alone. Leave all these other countries that are nearby. Leave Poland alone. Don't go attack them. We don't. That's not where the conflict is. The conflict's only in this border country called Ukraine. So, kind of interesting to think that China's really ramping things up, and China doesn't stop, and China actually goes and attempts to do more than they already have. That could cause more destruction.
Yep, Pooh Bear is trying to stick his nose into places where probably shouldn't be, because, well, they don't really know anything about this stuff, and they are supportive of the Russian position on this. So it's kind of like, I mean, are you really going to get any kind of a legitimate, talk between people? I mean, it's just going to, because the West is just going to look at it, the rest of the Western world, and why wouldn't they, as, the most biased thing in the world. And really, that's, I mean, to be quite honest, that's setting up the Russians for failure, because there would be, after that, there'd be absolutely no way, no how, that the Russians would go back and have any kind of relation with the Western world. China would be setting the Russians up in that regard to keep them within their sphere, which isn't very, I mean, it's all right, but Russia's sort of like this, they're seen as like the junior partner in the Russia-China relationship. They're not very, I mean, like China always tries to maintain its superiority, but they're still friendly, which is, okay. But I mean, at the same time, like Russia would rather do business with other nations that it would have a chance to be seen on an equal footing with. Whereas the Chinese is like, well, okay, we'll be friends, but I'm the better one, right? I'm the bestest, right? Right. It's like that's the relationship the Ruskies have with the Chinese. And if they have to go to them, well, then they have to go to them. And so if the Chinese butt their nose into this conflict, and if the Russians fall for that and say like, oh yeah, sure, okay, come over here, let's have mediations or whatever. And even though the Ukrainians probably wouldn't have that, but if the Russians said okay to it, and if the Ukrainians said okay to it, that would set up Russia to be permanently isolated from the Western world for quite a long time, I think, because that whole mediation thing would just be total, just everybody would see it as being completely one-sided. It wouldn't be objective. It wouldn't be like if freaking Ethiopia or like India or freaking, I don't know, Indonesia or some other country came in that was not involved in this at all in any way and was just sort of like a, just another country in the world, but had a relationship with Russia or had a relationship with Ukraine or something, and came in and tried to mediate. Right? Like China is obviously taking a side, and that would set up Russia for future failures beyond this
couple
war,
things here real quick,
and
Michael
keep them in
Higgins
that
says,
junior
it's sad,
relationship.
but Russia ain't the bad guys here. And it's the way that we always remembered them being. They're not like that anymore. They're actually more Christian conservative than they ever had been, which is really interesting that we actually.
Oh my God! Look up on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to like look at some of that stuff. Like, just look up like Russian music or Russian music videos. Like, there's so many where it's just like, I mean, it's very propaganda-ish, right? But it's always promoting like, the idea of having Christian faith, family, culture, infrastructure, building the nation up. Like, it's very much very Christian conservative over there. And that's what they very much push.
And then, and you look at who they're actually um, fighting against those Ukrainians, those Azov Battalion Yahtzees. It's just like, oh, well, who's fighting who, and why are we back in the other side? Kind of really seriously, it needs to be thought about. There's a lot of stuff that people just don't think about when it comes down to it, or I shouldn't say think about, or maybe potentially ignorant to, because they just don't know. They haven't had the chance or the abilities to pay attention to what's actually happening, and they just kind of just like, and when they hear it, they're like, "No, that can't be true. No way. I grew up with them being the communists." Well, are they the communists?
Not anymore.
Right.
As a matter of fact, there is a communist party that still exists in Russia, in the Russian political sphere. Very, very, very small, but they are the opposition to the political parties that's collectively the Putin, more pro-Putin group of people that are within their own legislature and in their own politics. They're in Russia. There's still a communist group that's there that wants to bring back communism to freaking Russia, and nobody wants that. And so the idea that, like, people say that Putin was not popularly elected, it's like, well, I mean, just the very politics that goes on over there just proves that. I mean, all the stuff that you hear about the Ruskies is all wrong. It's all you really need to know. Ali Grande is leaving for the evening.
I see that. Later, Ali. You have a good one, dude. Michael Hagen said, or ISIS, which is apparently wearing UKR patches. As far as that goes,
well, there's
an
a
awful lot of
right.
of them that were those ISIS members that were not being treated properly by their own, so they decided to defect. And the place that they went, because they wanted better values, was to Russia. So what Russia do to them? They put them on the front line. They also gave them a check. So how much of a check do they actually get to actually go and stand in that front line and fight against these Yahtzees and U.S. NATO interventions? So it's really, really, fine lines in there or whatever that you really seriously have to look at. But there's so many people that aren't, because Western media is not going to tell you about it. Rumble side, DeSantis, Tweety US News says DeSantis is being groomed for media darling Republican, which means he might run with Trump. I don't see that. I see him actually running with Nikki Haley. And he'd be up on stage against the likeness of DeSantis, as opposed to.
Here's a little political take here, just while we're talking about it. The thing with Nikki Haley, while you bring that up, the reason why Trump, and this is what I was listening to, and I didn't realize this until somebody talked about it there. The reason why Trump was in South Carolina with Lindsey Graham, like, why the hell is he with Lindsey Graham? Why is he with these weirdo rhino people in South Carolina? What is happening here? What's going on? Trump knew that Nikki Haley was going to announce her run. She had already said she was going to do this kind of stuff anyway. Trump was there to secure the backing of all of those people in South Carolina and get their full endorsement, so that when Nikki Haley rises up and she wants to do something, and because she's from South Carolina, she lives there and all that, she's going to come up and she is going to meet opposition very first thing in South Carolina, and she's not going to make it at all. So that's the reason why Trump was there, because he wanted to try to get the backing of all these rhino wackos. And so that Trump's over there, like, golfing with Lindsey Graham, patting him on the back, like, oh, look at that, Lindsey, you're doing great. Oh, and this is wonderful. You're the greatest guy the world's ever seen. Isn't this great? And then he's just trying to get him to endorse him, so that Nikki Haley doesn't have a chance in All Get Out to make it up the ranks within South Carolina itself, where she would be rising up from. So yeah, that would just be like if he went to Florida. He's not doing that same thing to DeSantis. He's not going to, all around Florida and, like, getting all of these different people to try to endorse him and so forth and so on. He's trying to do that in South Carolina. That was a very strategic political move. I didn't realize that at the time. So I don't think Nikki Haley's going anywhere. I don't think she'll do that. I think DeSantis will try. I think, actually, I don't know. I mean, DeSantis is such a wild card at this point. I don't know what he's going to decide to do.
It's something that we're all going to be.
He's got a
really
war chest. We
paying
talked about
attention
this the
to
other
for
day.
the next few years.
All of the Rhino Republicans have given DeSantis this huge amount, like hundreds of millions at this point. It's a war chest to run against Trump. And whether or not he takes them up on that or not is up to him. That's all his money now. And so he can determine what he wants to do with that or not. And so it's a wild card at this point, because he may get airheaded and think, well, hey, you know, like, I got all this money, I got this, I got all this bag, I got this, I got that. Why don't I just go ahead for it? I swept the state of Florida. Let's do it. But he could just say, no, I'm just going to run out my term as the governor and then run after Trump, or run as the vice president. He's just a giant big wild card. You just don't know. He's doing a lot of good work. I'm not against him, but at the same time, if he runs against Trump, it will burn him up. Trump will be like, if you get too close to the sun, like DeSantis, it'll get too close to him on the stage. DeSantis will just spontaneously combust in front of everybody. Like, that's how bad it will be. Like, he'll just automatically catch fire. Trump will light him up ablaze. And it won't be, and he'll just burn, and he'll keep burning until the end of the primary, and then he'll destroy himself because he got too close to the sun. He got too close to freaking Donald Trump, the freaking center of gravity and heat.
Which, speaking of Trump, there's a little bit of a conversation going over on that Rumble side. So it was between Tweety US News and Leany. So Leany said, would he, since Trump has insulted him, speaking to Tweety about the DeSantis thing or whatever, yeah, he did, but at the same time, I think it was more of just a rub, as opposed to actually like insulting him. He wasn't trying to sanctimonious. You remember that?
Yeah, and I did have that opinion at the time. A lot of people had that opinion at the time, which I think was true at the time. Now it seems as though it might be getting a little more heated, which, I mean, I don't like. I get why Trump, if he is turning up the heat on him,
but Trump insults everyone, which is
that's right. I mean, like, he does.
DeSantis knows Trump insults everyone, and behind the scenes is likely being talking into things known at this point. You know, so it's like the sanctimonious when he called him that. You know, it's just like did DeSantis actually take up arms against him because of it? No,
he didn't. DeSantis has never reacted back, which is another interesting thing. And that's why Robert Barnes had the opinion that, you know, the thing that he was told was probably still true and acting and going on, which is that there's a fake show between him and DeSantis. And this is very elaborate if true, and it would be awesome if it is, and I hope it is, that this is an elaborate effort to again, it's the idea of Trump, and Trump always does this. It's always in person, never in writing. Always in person, you know, like always in cash, never in anything else, right? Like, you know, always right there in person. And so that's what he always does, is he'll take people and he'll go but with them personally in private, and he'll go and he'll have conversations and stuff. Nothing's in writing, and agreements will be made. And so this could be possible where they're trying to hoodwink, if you will, or they're trying to fake out the establishment people on the Rhino side to try and get them to, you know, oh yeah, sure, you know, DeSantis is this, and get all these people to foment all of this craziness between them, when in reality they're both running on the same ticket and they've agreed on it anyway this entire time. Because it's true, DeSantis has never punched back at all. So it's not like it's a back and forth tit for tat. It's just Trump throwing around this stuff.
The sanctimonious with a question mark? Yeah, that's what he called
that. Was the first insult, yeah. Or the first name call thing or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But that would be really elaborate, and that would actually work, because all of the mainstream press, even freaking George Soros, is like, I see Ron DeSantis as the front runner of the Republic Party. Oh, you think I'm exaggerating? Because that's almost exactly what he sounds like. I'm only exaggerating a little bit. Like, just a little bit. Like, oh my God, it's crazy with him. But that's what he's even said. He's come out and he's doing this. If Trump is able to hoodwink and psych out and fake out all of these people, that would be, oh my God, such gold. If all of a sudden it's just like, Trump comes out like just one day and he's just like, I have an announcement, and then it's just like him and DeSantis standing next to each other smiling, and it's just like, he's my running mate, we're gonna run for the White House, we're gonna do, and like everybody just goes, ah! Like the whole sphere just lights up and crazy because they thought that they could pit him against him and they were working together the whole time, and oh my god, they would just go crazy. They would lose their minds.
Moose's shirt is right. In his gargled wisdom, sounds on point. A sloppy one, but on point.
Well, I mean, it's George Soros. What do you expect?
Charlemagne's liking it. I like this. And this is the stuff that we're supposed to do Monday through Thursdays, or Sunday through Thursdays, or whatever, depending on if we're available or not, or what we're doing. Is the news and the politics at night, because it actually gives you a little bit of a more information that you may need.
Mike O'Hagan, DeSantis ain't a vax salesman. I mean, a lot of people were for that kind of thing to start with, but then he's very much turned against this. In fact, as a matter of fact, he's been more vocal against this than Trump has. And Trump has been more of the side of like, well, like I promoted, whatever. If I go against myself and my own thing I did in my administration, it might make me.
I put out Operation Warp Speed on purpose. Mm-hmm. Not to bring it back out to world conflict, but I had a couple more articles left. It looks like U.S. nuclear submarines docks in South Korea amid threats from the north.
Yes, because we had the love letters between the Orange Man and the Hermit Kingdom king, right. And now all of a sudden we have all this going on. So I mean, but people were like, "Oh my God, Trump talks to dictators." Oh, no. It's like, I mean, if you don't talk to people, then wars start. You dumbasses. If you don't have any conversation, that's why, I mean, we were talking about the president's thing. It was like, the president's thing, like you have the president's game, whatever. And I was giving a little bit of the background of JFK there. One of his things was he wanted to have constant communication and talks with the Soviet Union, because he always wanted these conversations. He didn't want to invade Cuba. He wanted to maintain peace. And that's why he had to go in the untimely way in which he did allegedly in Minecraft. Slava Ukraine. Anyway, that's the whole point. Like, you have to talk to people
here real quick. So,
but they haven't talked to anybody, and they've been very.
There's that Rumble link for America shirts. You all want to check them out over on that Rumble? That's the link you can go check them out on.
Go check it out.
That's where he puts all his own content up on. Is there?
I'm gonna be posting something over there here shortly. I don't know exactly when. But nice. I will be posting something over there. So you all better go over and check that out. I don't know where that came from, but anyway.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. So to kind of erase that from our brains, the U.S. nuclear-powered submarine docked in the South Korean port city of Busan on Saturday after North Korea conducted a strategic cruise missile drill last week. The U.S. Navy Korea announced a Facebook post on the 25th of February that the USS Springfield arrived in Busan for a scheduled port visit, but did not elaborate on the duration of the stay. The USS Springfield is one of 5 Los Angeles class fast attack submarines based in Guam. The vessel and its crew routinely conduct maritime security operations in support of national security interests. The submarine's deployment to South Korea comes after North Korea test-fired 4 cruise missiles on February 23rd, with the regime saying it was protesting the U.S.-South Korea tabletop exercise in Washington last week. Xinjiang Wu, a senior researcher of the Korea Defensive Security Forum, said that the Springfield's arrival in Busan demonstrates the United States' deterrence commitment in its ally of South Korea against the North Korean regime's threats. A nuclear-powered submarine is a weapon system that is covertly approach and subdue any North Korean submarine. So I think it can be another level of warning to North Korea. Shin told the Korea Times. So I mean, it seems as though we're not necessarily ramping up efforts to actually push um, more boats into the area, but a maritime uh, submarine, docks itself up into Busan or whatever. And it pushed itself. The difference between where Guam is and where South Korea is, comparably to North Korea, is a dramatic difference. It pretty much put a boat within striking distance of North Korea. So North Korea goes and does something, they're going to be right there. They're going to be right on top of it. And without actually having a time frame of how long they're actually going to be there, can actually cause more of a threat to North Korea, which is what I was, when we say, China, Russia, Ukraine, North Korea, South Korea, Japan's having issues because North Korea is actually launching those missiles towards Japan, which Japan's part of the ally to the United States. It just really seriously opens up this big, huge ball of fuckery, which will end up being potentially World War III.
So you've got the Koreas, you've got China, Taiwan, you've got Russia, Ukraine, all in a matter of 2 years. Isn't that nice? Isn't that lovely? We can just start all these things up with just like a snap of the finger,
Yep.
Suzanne Eckstein in chat, I guess. Suzanne.
Suzanne.
Yeah, Suzanne. She says, Koolfrogg, 7 years ago, I had a Russian friend staying with us. He had Russian stations on his computer, and I watched Putin calling all the Russians home then, saying before it's too late. So Putin knew. I mean, hey, now you're not even allowed to freaking if you're speaking Russian, it's just like, oh my God, call the FBI. So yeah, I mean,
Interesting.
I mean, I've even heard people in the United States, whenever Zelensky banned the Orthodox Church in Ukraine, because they're in communion with the Russians, because they're underneath, they were always historically underneath the same patriarchate in Russia, in Moscow, or Moscow. Anyway, and so that's been the way it was for oh my God, what, almost 1,000 years at this point, I think, right? Is it over 1,000? And so, I mean, for at around or over a millennia, they were always together in communion. And so it's like, oh, well, we're just going to ban that now. And I hear people in America talk, and they're just like, oh yeah, that's totally fine. I mean, I think these people are suspect too. I think this. I mean, we've talked about this before, right? Where they're banning people who are Russian speaking, that or who are Russians, or who are Orthodox Christian, Russian Orthodox Christians. They're specifically Russian Orthodox, and they're banning them from participating in marathons and sports activities, and you're not allowed to go to this college or that thing or this thing or that thing. And so yeah, you could say Putin knew where things might be going several years ago, 7 years ago, because again, 7 years ago, that was towards the end of the Obama administration, right? And so that was, at that time, it was really looking bleak there. But because of the whole thing with, Ukraine in 2014 and then 2015, so that would have been around, I guess, 7 years ago at this point? And so that would have been 2014, just a year after the whole overthrow of the Ukrainian government by our deep state to install the government that's there now. And so, yeah, Putin probably was saying that at the time. Under the Trump administration, it wasn't like that, but now it's back up. So, yeah, you could say, again, the same people are back in the White House, same people are back in all the places in Washington. All the deep state people are back. All the Obama administration people are back in and working. And so, yeah, it's the same thing. It just was delayed because Trump got in. And so now they're back, and now they're Now they're grooving to their tune again, and yeah, who saw that? Yeah, I could
Tweety
definitely
says,
say.
never speak Russian in the USA.
Is that what that says?
Yeah.
And Tweety US
Google
News.
Translate. Great. I love Google Translate.
Tweety US News has just been banned from YouTube now. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Um,
Uh, all right. So, uh, the CCP is funding private schools in America. Republicans want to stop them? Of course they do.
well, of
Why
course,
would they?
CCP. I support schools in America. Why would we not support schools? We want to control you.
Of course they do. Tweety, don't make me be using Google Translate all the time. Come on, man. I don't want
And
to
Tweety
do
US News' sock account, Tweety US News, is back
that.
and also speaking Russian. How the freak is he typing, or she, whoever is typing this
She,
out? Oh wait, no,
she.
it's a she. That's right, because I was watching Expert Stream earlier.
Right.
Forgot.
That one says, if you speak Russian, will you be banned? Yeah, I'm not really sure about that.
I wouldn't push it because yeah.
I
Freak
really don't
Expert
know.
says Orthodox DMCA. What the?
I'm
Huh?
not really sure what that is.
What?
Not sure what that is.
I'm not sure either. Anyway,
All right,
back to
so-
the CCP.
Right.
And their funding
the
of all your
CCP has
schools.
its tentacles in every aspect of American society: Hollywood,
Indeed, they do.
universities, corporations, real estate, lobbying, politics, and much more. They're also funding a number of private schools in cities across the country. Many of these schools benefit from Pentagon funding from U.S. Army Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps programs, which are at risk due to CCP influence. Republican reps Mike Walls and Chrissy Houlihan are pushing back against CCP funding by introducing a resolution that would protect the junior OTC um, programs and future U.S. soldiers by pulling funding at schools taking CCP money. Firms firms with direct ties with the CCP are buying up American private schools. It is troublesome that our government has been supporting some of these schools financially. Our legislation would ensure that the Pentagon will no longer provide funding to these schools. This is all from Walls. This is as a former teacher and ROTC cadet. I was greatly disturbed to learn that there were American private schools with ties to the Chinese Communist Party running junior JROTC programs, Houlihan added. I'm proud of our JROTC programs and how they shape the next generation. But we must ensure they remain representative of our nation and its values. And that's the thing. You allow CCP to come in and actually take care of funding for things or whatever, as opposed to cadets being raised with our values from the United States. They're being raised with the Chinese Communist Party's values, which would kind of be against the rest of us.
Well, that is the point. That is the actually the point.
I mean, I guess if that's what you really wanted to do.
That is exactly what CCP wants to do.
Good night, Rabbit. You have a good one, dude.
Oh, not Rabbit. No. I think
Been up
Rabbit's scared
since
of my
4 a.m. and it's
Asian accent
now
because they eat
midnight.
rabbits.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, sleep well. Moose is canceled. All right.
Who's canceled?
I have no clue. No.
And what the
clue.
freak is that emoji? Oh, they're chopsticks. Ha 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 ha. I see what you're saying.
Oh, I was thinking
Anyway.
drumsticks, but yeah, no, you got a point. Chopsticks. So I found this article. I'm like, what in the world is this? Is
Oh,
from a few days ago. It's
yes,
from a
and
few days
guess
ago.
what? Does this article tell us about these things? How they're all three the same company?
I think they do. So this is the three oil
Is
facilities
that
explode
interesting?
suddenly within 24 hours. This is three oil facilities in separate locations across Mexico and the United States have suffered huge fires after sudden explosions occurred, according to reports. The explosions all occurred in the space of 24 hours. All three facilities, including one in Texas, are controlled by the state owned Mexican oil company Petróleos Mexicanos, or PEMEX. On Thursday, three separate fires broke out at PEMEX facilities, resulting in the deaths of two workers, Bloomberg reported. At least 8 people were also injured, and several others were missing. The explosions have resulted in increased scrutiny of the safety record of the Mexican state oil firm in advance of the earnings call on Monday. The fires broke out at the PEMEX crude oil storage facilities in Veracruz, Mexico, at the combined Maya plant in the Minatitlan refinery in Veracruz, and in Deer Creek, Texas. One of the Veracruz locations hit by the explosion is Mexico's largest oil storage facility. On Friday morning, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, Mexico's president, said at a press conference that the fire in the Minatitlan refinery is immediately brought under control. However, he noted that the fire in the I'm not sure how to actually pronounce that one. In this particular storage facility, has not yet been extinguished. I would assume that that's actually been extinguished by now. He said that the case of that particular place, it will take more time because it occurred at an oil deposit. So you can kind of see there's some video to go along with this. A very, very large polluted fire.
I mean, it's just a little thing, nothing to see here, folks. Three of these blowing up within 24 hours of each other of the exact same company having to do with oil. There's nobody that wants to reduce the oil supply in the United States to, further the control grid of anything for any reason at all. There's nobody that's talked about trying to, get rid of infrastructure and all the rest of it. Nobody has any intention to do that. Don't look here, ladies and gentlemen. Everything is just fine. There's nothing weird about the same company having three different explosions at three different of their plants, all within 24 hours. There's nothing to see here at all. Nothing. Look the other way. Gee, wasn't the Super Bowl great? Oh my God, there's an octagon over Lake Huron. Don't look in front of your face as trains get derailed and blow up in a freaking dioxin nuclear explosion, and all these power plants are going up, and they're claiming, oh my God, there's bird flu, and they're killing all these chickens, and all these different food facilities blew up last year, other train cars having fertilizer and other different things derailed last year. Like, don't look around you at your infrastructure, people. Who cares? Don't do that. Just don't. Just keep watching TV and, oh, what's the latest Netflix series? And, oh my God, some Hollywood person said whatever, and who cares? Don't look around you. Don't look around you, because you might see giant thick clouds of black smoke. And you might get disturbed by that. We don't want that. Just don't pay attention to the fact that, like, oh, I don't know, as Jeremy from the Quartering said on his live stream, it almost feels like we're under attack, because you are. But don't look around you. Don't pay attention to the things that our lovely elite groups talk about and do and all the rest of it. Everything's fine. I mean, look at this. This is a normal explosion according to Pete Buttigieg, right?
Oil
Everything's
everywhere.
normal.
It's
Everything's
okay.
fine. It's all okay. Look at this. I mean, it's perfectly fine. This is the way
Absolute
oil
total
infrastructure is
destruction.
supposed to be
It's
in the
okay.
United States. Is dead, gone, and buried, because they want you to starve to death and not have any infrastructure for yourself while they hoard everything. That's the whole freaking point.
Exactly, Leanie's sitting on that rumble side shirts. There are a lot of sheep in the country and other parts of the world. They won't pay attention. Yeah, we know. We know. We've been
That's why
doing
you
we've
need to
been
share
doing
the
this
ever
news
loving
thing for a
hell out
better
of
part
all
of a
of this
year
until they
now.
do.
Right. We've
I
been
mean,
doing
just
this news
keep
thing for a
posting
better
it.
part of a year, and we've been trying to actually get people to come watch us. And the very large group of people that we do actually get to watch us
Speaking of
is fun
someone
to
who
actually
found
see.
us, there's someone in the chat named Jan. Says happy to find this channel, but they need to go to bed. Got library duty. Well, if you're still floating around, thanks for finding us. Thanks for tuning
Awesome.
in.
Yeah, awesome.
Hope to see you at a later point.
We got lots of content that we do this news and politics every night at 10 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. That's midnight out on the East Coast, and then about 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever, or 6 o'clock on that East Coast, we go live again, or I go live again with somebody else, and we do another 6 hour show. So as far as that goes,
Dear
check us
God
out.
in heaven,
Stick
Lord have
around.
mercy, Lord have mercy. Anyway,
He said, "Really? You do another 6 hour show?" Yes, we do another
God have
6 hour show.
mercy on us all.
So there's a little update at the bottom of this or whatever. So this is PMEX extinguishes fire in cavity, whatever this is in Veracruz. And this is in the search of activities for missing personnel. Two bodies were found, which were being reviewed by forensic medical services and prior authorization from the federal public ministry. Work continues to locate the three missing workers. The two workers who remain hospitalized are stable and treated at the PEMEX hospital. PEMEX regrets the human losses as well as the injuries that are affected by the health of the workers and reiterates its commitments to their families. Actions continue to be carried out to determine the causes that caused the fire in the drilling equipment and the cleaning of the place will begin. So I mean, it's really, really, really disturbing to actually think that they think that we're just not paying attention. Three separate facilities that you own, all within 24 hours, and this is nothing to see. Don't worry about it.
Oh, and they were, by the way, one of the suppliers of oil to the United States. And they supplied, I think, like Russia supplied like 13% of the oil market. These people supplied like, I don't know, it was like anywhere from 10 to 15%, almost the same. And so you cut out the Russian supply, then you cut out the Mexican supply. You put those two things together. That's almost 25-30% of the oil market that could potentially be decimated at this point. As far as the United States oil markets, the oil coming into the United States that I know. And they were reducing their production. And then now all of a sudden, all of these facilities are blowing up. It's like, oh, that's great. That's great. That's wonderful. But folks, don't pay attention to all of these global elite people sitting around with all the money and all this wealth and power and influence talking about how they don't want you to have any of this, gasoline or, fuel powered infrastructure. They want you to have quote unquote electric cars and electric vehicles that have no infrastructure and nothing. So you waste all your money on all this bullcrap from Elon Musk and Teslas and all this other garbage. And then after you waste all that money, you have no money left over. And then, whoops, sorry, you're left with this car that you can't do anything with. You can't go anywhere. Whoops, sorry, because there's no infrastructure for that. And we're not making it. So screw you. But don't worry, we have it all. You ever hear that saying, you'll own nothing and we'll be very happy at the top? Well, that's kind of what this is. So anyways, allegedly, of course, in Minecraft, Slava Ukraini, there we go. Anyway, TR says, I'm still here, just listening while in bed, trying to not embarrass myself. Now I just have a headache. Hangovers before going to sleep are the worst.
Oh, headache hangovers worst. Yep. Mm.
Oh, sorry about that.
Well, that's what happens when you go and you drink for the night.
Oh, Michael Hagan also says, did you hear about the uranium plant fire? Oh, yeah. I heard about that. Yeah. But if too many people heard about that, they might get disturbed and they might do something. And we don't want that, Mike, right? Right. Our lovely global elite leaders would not like the idea of people being concerned that uranium plants are just spontaneously combusting for no reason and just blowing the hell up, like, just causing a giant cloud of black smoke. That would be bad. That would be very bad if everybody kind of saw all these oil plants exploding and trains wrecking as it was predicted on films just a year prior with people that were, you know, extras in the movie watching that movie take place in real life right in front of them. Like if people started to actually look at all these things, they might wake up and they might get angry and oh my, we can't have that now, can we? No, no, no. So you know, so absolutely don't tell other people about this and don't share it. Absolutely no, Slava Ukraini, right? Right. And what I mean by that is you should share the hell out of all this stuff. Uh, like your freaking life depends on it, because it actually does. Uh, you know, our collective national life depends on it. Because our infrastructure is being systematically destroyed, allegedly in Minecraft. Slava Ukraini. Anyway.
So, it's article from Vox. It is kind of really strange that Vox, as left as they are, actually go ahead and actually put something up like this. It really, really emphasizes the necessity to actually pay attention to what's actually happening. People living near the Ohio train derailment will have to watch their health for years. It's the beginning of a years-long effort to clean up the track and effects of the chemicals in East Palestine, Ohio. Years. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous that this was allowed to occur. And they're trying to push it under Trump's thing or whatever. That Trump did something or whatever, and it's his fault because he removed some regulation a couple of years ago, or whatever that should have been fixed already. So many residents in East Palestine, Ohio, are wearily returned to their homes as Norfolk Southern train derailed and spilled more than 100,000 gallons of dangerous chemicals into the air and water earlier this month. The towering smoke cloud from the burning vinyl chloride has drifted away, and the track has been cleared. Trains are now running again through the town, but 4,700 residents in East Palestine say that they still smell chemical residue in the air, see an oily sheen in the water, and are suffering from headaches and nausea. Concern is mounting about the long-term effects of the disaster. It also become a political football. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg visited East Palestine this week and apologized for not speaking about the derailment sooner. Former President Donald Trump, who visited the town and criticized President Joe Biden for going to Ukraine this week instead of Ohio, Trump himself has faced criticism for rolling back train safety rules. It just emphasizes the point that TDS really is a thing, though some think that TDS really isn't. Yes, yes, it is. Other government officials are trying to ensure residents that much of the risk is faded. This week, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine and Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Michael Reagan both visited East Palestine and drank tap water as in a resident's home. Yeah. They're just like, oh, let's go do it, I guess. All right. You don't know who to trust. That's the big part of it, the uncertainty. You don't know if you're going to have to move. One resident, Carolyn Brown, ABC News, we need to feel that we're safe, but safe maybe more than anyone can promise. Safe is one of those four-letter words in a disaster response you just don't use. What people consider safe is highly variable. Plus, EPA just can't answer the questions. Instead, agencies like EPA try to measure what they can and extrapolate from past research. They compare the concentrations of pollutants they measure to limits established by health departments, which don't always reflect the dangers an individual will face. Children, for example, breathe in more air proportionate to their body size and thus are more vulnerable to airborne toxic chemicals. The scientists aren't clear how the health effects of the specific toxic chemical brew that shrouded East Palestine will play out over time. Authorities nevertheless told residents they could return home. In doing so, the people of East Palestine may face low levels of exposure to some of the dangerous chemicals from the derailment with uncertain health effects. So now begins a years long effort to track the effects of the chemicals, to mitigate their harms, to analyze why the train derailed, and to prevent the next spill. While this is uncharted territory for health and environmental agencies, experts say there are some best practices to better understand the disaster and protect residents, but they require continued attention and resources along long after media coverage fades, the political wrangling stops. The next steps in the response to the East Palestine chemical spill in the 38 cars that derailed on February 3rd, 11 were known to hold hazardous chemicals according to the National Transportation Board. These include chemicals from vinyl chloride, a flammable carcinogenic gas, butyl acrylate, a toxic flammable liquid. Some leaked, some were vented, and some burned, further complicating the picture. Each of these chemicals that leaked were respiratory irritants, and some of their breakdown products are also irritants. This is a part of what is unclear. How much of each was experienced by each person and for how long? Occupational health researchers have found that workers who are regularly exposed to chemicals like vinyl chloride have higher rates of liver cancer. It is a signal that you can take 20 years or more to emerge. 20 years or more for that to emerge. So anybody that was in that area, anybody that passed through East Palestine, anybody that's breathed in that air from that particular instance or whatever, if you could smell it, if you could smell it for over quite the distance, you're gonna have some issues over the next 20 years potentially. That's sad. That's sad that there's so many people that are affected by this that are going to be uh, wandering around for the next 20 years wondering uh, what happened and why they're now having their own issues with like liver and whatever else. It just it's sad and very disturbing. um a signal that takes 20 years or more to emerge. However, these workers are exposed to higher doses and in enclosed spaces. Unlike the residents of East Palestine, it's not clear how exposure from the train derailment will pay out. But the long latency of vinyl chloride's worst effects means that it's critical for tracks its concentrations in the community for years to come. Meanwhile, residues from burning vinyl chloride, like dioxin, and other leak chemicals like butyl accelerate can haunt water supplies for years and spread through watersheds and underground aquifers that provide drinking water. The aquifer may remain contaminated for years, even a decade, despite best cleanup efforts in the short and long term. Um, a professor in Earth and Environmental Sciences of Wright State University said in an email, this may not be a threat to breathable air quality, but definitely toxic in drinking water as it can migrate and travel to groundwater plume of contamination in the pumping wells nearby up to several thousand feet. The state and federal environmental agencies will also need to check water and soil samples regularly for contamination for years. Parts of the East Palestine and surrounding region will also uh, have to be decontaminated, cleaned up, and remediated. The water used to extinguish the train fire is now toxic. 2 million gallons 2 million gallons of it is being sent to Texas, where it is being injected underground for disposal. The contaminated soil around the train tracks is being excavated and sent to a toxic waste disposal site in Michigan. The community may also have to look at new drinking water sources. The National Transportation Safety Board is conducting an investigation of the root causes of, of the train wreck. Federal regulators will have to consider whether to impose new safety regulations on the rail industry. The residents of East Palestine will also have to keep tabs on their health. Philip Landrigan, director of public health program in Boston College, studied 20,000 first responders and rescue workers in New York City after the 9/11 attacks. He said one of the key lessons learned in that study was that in addition to figuring out exactly what is in the dust that people are breathing in, it is also important to conduct regular health assessments to catch problems that emerged over time. A program has been put in place to get baseline health evaluations for people in town, even people that appear to be okay, and follow them periodically over the next decade or more. Um, Norfolk Southern will have to pay. All of these measures, however, will cost a lot of money. You can't expect the people who are the victims of this catastrophe to pay for that themselves. At the end, the EPA said has ordered Norfolk Southern to pay for the cleanup of the train derailment and the response. If they fall short, the rail operator would face a fine of $70,000 per day, according to EPA Administrator Reagan. Norfolk Southern will pay for the mess that they created and the trauma that they inflicted on this community. But that doesn't account for ongoing health needs in East Palestine. And total medical bill could be massive. A number of residents who are now looking to sue railroad company Norfolk Southern has also committed 5.6 million in financial assistance and support to the town. One of the biggest challenges, however, is will be rebuilding trust between the community and the government. A half dozen federal offices, along with local authorities, are playing roles in the disaster response, which is making it difficult for some residents to figure out who should be held accountable. The agencies like the EPA are struggling to communicate how to interpret their measurements of chemical exposures and how residents should respond to the findings. Things like quantifying the toxic chemicals in the air, soil, water, and determining that they're below reference levels don't address the anxiety that the people of East Palestine may feel. One thing that I hope we'll see the agency doing is recognizing that assurance to the people are not just giving them numbers, but rather helping them have access to resources that will help them discuss their feelings about the matter. This has been traumatizing event to the community. I think about this um, as one and done experience is probably a mistake. 20 some odd years potentially for things to actually uh, be normal again for them, and then it potentially may never ever be anyway. Because if you have that short a time, uh, would you stick around? Would you actually stay in this small town, even if you called it home for as long as you had? Would you still go back, knowing that this is something that you're really going to have to be paying attention to and watching for the rest of your life? Uh, Kind of scary in itself and very disturbing. I um, really don't think that people are really understanding the whole of it all, really when it comes down to it. And if Norfolk Southern's looking at is 70,000 per day, um, fine if they don't actually, come up with everything they need to actually take care of cleanups and removals of the contaminants. That's going to cost this company a lot. That's going to cost this company a lot where they may actually never ever exist ever again. Nothing from the shirt. He stepped away. He's like, I don't want to talk about this. right. Are you with me? Okay. I'm guessing something happened. We'll see. Vinyl chloride burn, phosgene, and hydrogen chloride, not to mention all the other BS that's in there. The unfortunate part of East Palestine, Ohio, is that it is dying town. I've been there, and the people who are and were there are there because they don't have financial ability to move. That's usually what happens. You usually get stuck somewhere because you just don't have the abilities, or you don't think you have the abilities to move. And a lot of people think it costs a lot of money to actually do so. It kind of does, but you can actually get yourself out of a town or whatever and put yourself into like an apartment or something or whatever for temporary. And you might be surprised where you can actually go, how far away you can actually get with monies or whatever, especially if they're going to actually uh, fund with as many millions of dollars, for these people or whatever. Give them each enough money to actually get the heck out of there, go somewhere else. Shirts is sleeping. Yeah, I'm not so. I'm thinking maybe he actually got up to go, maybe walk the dog or something or whatever, let the dog out. You just never know. My opinion, I think we should round up all the political bodies in the fighting of the warring world, worldwide, put them all in Davos and pray God sends lightning. Problem solved. I mean, maybe, maybe that might be an interesting way to do that. Phosgene and hydrogen chloride. I mean, that's what they're saying. Um, Charts. Okay. I guess not. So then, um, kind of move on just a little bit. There's a couple of other things that are going on in this world. Um, Seems as though RNC Chair Rona McDaniel has created a new requirement amid aimed directly at Trump. So I mean, when it actually comes down to it, they're really um, really trying to create something to actually try holding them down because they're just like, no, we need to actually make sure that he doesn't become something. They don't want him there. They're going to continue to try doing whatever they can to actually make sure that he's not there. It says Republican National Committee Chair Ronna McDaniel said Sunday that any candidate who wants to take part in the GOP's first primary debate later this year in Milwaukee will have to sign a loyalty pledge beforehand. Otherwise, they will not be able to participate in the debate. This announcement comes as a surprise and what seems like a direct threat to Donald Trump, who is the first to announce his presidential run, much to the irritation of the RNC and even conservative news outlets like Fox News, who have abandoned support for the former president. I mean, paid opposition on Fox News, and that's not really conservative news in my mind. I mean, though it's not as far left as some, I really don't see it as being uh, conservative. I really don't. But it was create something that will um, cause people not to be able to participate in a debate, which is ridiculous. Um, yeah, exactly. America shots. Wherefore art thou? Tara says, I don't think that the results would be acceptable. Ultimately, polyvinyl chloride is just too dangerous to transport. That is the solution. It should come out of this, in my opinion. They used to they actually we read an article last week or whatever, or a week before that actually stated straight out that they used to not actually transport stuff. They used to, because it's so unstable, that it would actually be processed in on facility only, um, and then used in the next process. So it's for them to continue to think that transportation of this would be okay is wrong. Trump is forever banned, but he was great. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see how this works out. So this is a pledge. McDaniels is demanding that all candidates is to promise to support whoever is to become the nominee, irrespective of who wins the nomination. So it's like they want Trump to say, even if you don't get the nomination, we want you to actually back the other person that does catch the nomination, no matter what. They want Republicans to actually be all one, as opposed to being the split party that it seems to be. Um, so quote, we're saying you're not going to get on the debate stage unless you make this pledge, McDaniel said during an interview with CNN's Dana Bash in the State of the Union. Having recently been voted in and for her fourth term as the RNC chair after the contentious campaign against Hermit Dillon, McDaniel stated that Republican voters are tired of the infighting with the party and they want to see us come together. At present, there are three prominent candidates entering the GOP presidential primary: former President Donald Trump, former Ambassador of the United Nations Nikki Haley, and conservative entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy. Is expected that a number of candidates will also join the race, including former Vice President Mike Pence, Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo of the United States. McDaniel describes this new pledge real as a no-brainer in that she expects all candidates who decide to join what could soon become a very crowded race to sign it. If you're going to be in a Republican National Committee debate stage asking voters to support you, you should say, I'm going to support the voters and who they choose as the nominee. This latest requirement was made after Trump told conservative radio host Hugh Hewitt earlier this month that his support for the GOP candidate in the general election will be determined on who is chosen as the nominee for the party. So because he goes and he says something, they're like, oh, wait a minute, he said something. He said something that we don't really like, and we want to try actually holding him down because it's Orange Man bad. It's always going to be Orange Man bad. So hold him down and hold him accountable for anything and everything he ever said. So if he's going to go ahead and he's going to say that, he's not going to support dependent on the nominee. Oh, no, sign this saying that you will support no matter what. So it's like, okay, fine, here, I sign it. Does that actually hold me accountable for everything that I just because I signed something? Absolutely freaking not, in my opinion. Go ahead, go up there, sign it, hold the debate. And the second that it's over, just be like, nah, I don't support you. Do you think every single one of these people that are actually out there, you go back and look at this, you think Mike Pence is going to actually support Trump if Trump is the one that actually gets the nomination out of that? You think Mike Pence wants anything to do with that? I really don't. I really don't. The latest requirement was made after Trump told conservative radio. Oh, I read that one. When asked about whether she thinks Trump will agree to sign the pledge, McDaniel said she believes the former president will agree to it. I think they all want to be on the debate stage. I think President Trump would like to be on the debate stage. That's what he likes to do, and I expect they will all be there, as they hopefully would be. Requiring somebody to sign something though is to say that you wouldn't that you will show support for whoever they decide to pick. Really kind of changes the way the game is played, in my opinion. During the aforementioned interviews with Hugh Hewitt, the host asked former President Trump what he referred to as a hard question about Trump's potential reelection. Hugh Hewitt, first hard question Some worry that if you were reelected president, you will use your powers to seek revenge on the people that have been after you since 2016 and 2015. What do you say to those people who say you'd abuse the office if they're reelected? Trump replied, saying to his victim, well, when you look at Columbia Report, which is very devastating to the New York Times and to really everything, to our country because of what they did, I was a victim and everyone knows it. And now they really know it. That was well crafted report by a rather liberal, I'm being nice group of people. That was. He would agree that the Columbia Journalism Review is very left wing. And on that acknowledgement, Trump continued, I'm trying to be nice, but that was devastating report, and I'm thinking probably more so than anybody else. Well, the people that participated, but the New York Times has truly made it into either a smart or evil group or a stupid group. And by the way, I'm suing Pulitzer, and this should be almost the end of that because if a judge and jury see this report to give back the Pulitzer prizes, because the New York Times and the Washington Compost got, and they got it. They got it strongly. They got, they had it all in different things. They knew everything that was going on. They reported so badly. The Pulitzer Prize is supposed to be for great reporting, for accurate reporting. Congratulations, you've done well. They got it exactly wrong. They accused me. Later in an interview, Trump was asked for a response to Nikki Haley running for president, in which he replied, well, she called me and she asked me about it, and I told her she should follow her heart. Sh- she said numerous times, I put it up actually that I would never run if our president runs. Uh, he was a great president, etc., etc. She said that numerous times, but she's a very ambitious person. She just couldn't stay in her seat. And I said, you know what, Nikki? If you want to run, you go ahead and run. So, uh, when it comes down to it, creating rules that says you're going to back anybody else that actually does get the nomination, regardless to who it is, really kind of takes away the necessity for the debate because we're all just going to support each other anyway. Just go ahead, select somebody. We don't need a debate. I know Shirts has something to say. Where are you? America Shirts.
Huh?
Huh?
Who?
Did you? Where are? What the heck?
What the heck?
You missed 2 articles.
Oops.
Oops.
I had to
So,
fly away there. Did you not see I put in private chat?
oh, I don't watch private chat. I'm sorry.
Oh! Well,
He's like, be right back, like 6 times.
I thought if the big red, well, not big, but like, the red number that flashed up there 6 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It's not that big of a number. It's kind of tiny over to the side. Got to remember, I have 35, 6, 7, 8, 38, 39 tabs open. So I don't see a little red dot.
Oh, that's nothing. That's nothing. 30 some tabs? Bah. That's nothing.
TR says, Koolfrogg, my comments about the split in 2 political parties, I think you might agree with, though you may disagree. It's a little higher in the chat.
TR, I think you might need to go to freaking bed. I think you might need
No, this is normal. This is normal for TR to actually be like this.
Well,
At Koolfrogg,
TR
in my opinion, the Republican Party is split into 2 Neo Boomer cons and the populist libertarians, and the Democrats are split in with two parts: the woke communist fascists, I'm guessing fascists, and the blue dog Democrat classic liberals. I mean, potentially. So, basically, what he's talking about, what we just went through, is this here. Uh, Ronald McDaniel creates a new requirement amid aimed directly at Trump. So I just read the whole article, so I'm not going to reread the whole thing, but McDaniel is demanding of all candidates who promise to support whoever is to become the nominee, irrespective of who wins the nomination. Everybody must sign something saying that that's what they will do, that they will actually support everybody. And the reason that they're actually doing that is because Trump himself, at some point in time, had said something about depending on who's actually up there, who he would actually support. So now, if you look here, it's expected for candidates such as Mike Pence, Tim Scott, and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, as well as Nikki Haley and conservative entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy. So when you actually look at the potentials of people that are actually running, and you're going to tell me that I have to actually show support for the person, even though I'm debating them, it's really kind of strange.
Support whoever becomes the nominee, whoever the voters choose to become.
Support
Well,
whoever
that won't be a problem for Trump because Trump already has the nomination because he already has all the votes. So the rest of them can go screw themselves.
Well, and that's the interesting thought in itself. So it's like it's aimed at him because of what he had said, but if you look at the people that are potentially up on stage with him, against him for this nomination, Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, Mike Pence,
this
Tim
Vivek
Scott,
Ramaswamy,
Mike Pompeo.
like what the hell is he doing? He just set up a freaking what the freaking, like, I don't, what do they call it, like a stock trading thing or like a hedge fund thing or whatever. Like he just started a conservative hedge fund type of thing that has much more conservative values and supports much more conservative type of things. He just set this thing up like just last year, and now he just thinks that he could take on the world and run as president. I mean, what the hell? Like, I don't know what the freak's up with this guy. He's just let everything go to his head, I guess. But if he tries to go up against Trump, he will burn himself alive, as will everyone that gets too close to the sun, the center of gravity of all politics. So yeah, I mean, that what a dumbass decision. Like, you just started your hedge fund thing. Don't burn your whole entire career to the ground by getting too close to the center of all politics and the heat of all politics, Donald Trump. But apparently people haven't learned their lesson. I mean, you're not even supposed to look directly at the sun, but yet these people just want to go right up next to it. It's like, whatever. Like, just burn yourself alive. Mike Pence, Tim Scott. I don't even think Tim Scott's that bad. I don't think he's a rhino, but I just think he's like kind of But like, why would you burn yourself? Why would you destroy yourself? Why? Why do this why do these people do this to themselves? Like, do you really think, does Tim Scott really think that he's going to get all the people in freaking Ohio that just had this happen to them? Do you think Tim Scott's going to get those people, or do you think the guy who's handed out Big Macs?
The first article that I read before this one was about that.
Oh, there you go. Right? Like, that's perfect. That's perfect. Perfect. See, Koolfrogg, you're a genius. You don't even know it.
I know I am. It's okay. Tweety US News says they seem to be saying that they aren't choosing Trump no matter the result, which means Trump needs to run as an independent. Seeing this, TR actually corrected that already. So,
I mean, that's not what they're saying. We do have a problem
with the Republican-leaning person runs for a third party. It guarantees a Dem getting in. For example, Ross Perot.
Yeah, we were talking. Was that? Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, weren't we?
Yeah, we were.
Ross Perot.
Oh, you guys were talking about it? Okay.
I think we were. Yeah, I'm pretty
I
sure.
know that we talked about Ross Perot the other day when we did the presidential thing. So
Yeah, he was brought up then.
right,
Yeah,
right.
but I'm pretty sure we were even talking about. So, but anyways, but yeah, like an independent. No. Trump already has the nomination for the Republican Party. I don't know what people's problem is. I mean, the thing is with McDaniel. McDaniel's not trying to be like, ooh, let's rig the whatever. They think they have it in the bag. The establishment thinks that they have it in the bag. They'll get the DeSantis to come in. They'll get somebody else to come in, split things up, and then whoever they want will take out Trump. And because that's how they think of it as, right? They think if they get Tim Scott to take a percentage of the vote, if they get Ron DeSantis to get a percentage of the vote, if Mike Pence gets a percentage of the vote, if Mike Pompeo gets a percentage of the vote, if Nikki Haley gets a percentage of the vote,
Right.
that splits up everything so that maybe DeSantis or somebody else will get like 2 or 3% more. That's how they think they're going to play this, and they're totally wrong. All those people aren't going to get any percentage. They're all going to the crapper. Nobody wants any of these people. Everybody wants Trump. I'm sorry. This is the reality. These people need to wake the hell up to see this, or they're all going to be burned. Everyone will be burned by Donald Trump. He'll just walk into the room and then they'll all just be eviscerated. Like, it's just, I mean, that's what happened the first time around. Does nobody remember this? The first time around? Like, when Trump was up there with all these Republicans, and every single one of them, he just turned to them, pointed his finger at them, and they just lit on fire. Like, does no one remember this? like he just freaking lit these people on fire. Like freaking Jeb Bush, he lit a fire under his ass, and he was just like he couldn't sit still for for the rest of the year. Like he just freaking Marco Rubio, they wanted to try to get him to take a percentage of the vote of stuff, and it was just like that didn't happen. Ted Cruz, who I don't dislike, but I mean, Jiminy Christmas. I mean, well, the more and more I hear about some of his familial ties and relations and different things, the more and more I kind of distrust him, to be perfectly honest. But, even him, it was just like, let's just keep chipping away at things and whatnot.
Tweety says, seems that Trump isn't signing anything that restricts him. Trump will counter with a rewritten contract, most likely. I mean, maybe.
Maybe.
You're not saying Trump isn't part of the establishment, are you? That's an isn't. I mean, really not. He's been saying for a long time. For a long, long time.
Oh, he had the most based campaign ad here just not too long ago about like the WEF, the globalists. He calls out globalists, globalism. Like he's like, I mean, this is even beyond the 2015 campaign levels of baseness. I mean, sure, the 2015 campaign was very ritzy and very riveting, but this one is much more calculated, I think. Now it's losing. Now I think some people think that it's losing some of its luster and its ritziness, but it is much more controlled and calculated. And I think this is going to be run so much better than was the 2020 campaign. That's for sure. So, anywho's.
So then, I flip back real quick because the numbers that they're actually throwing out there, or whatever. So they're like, railroad operators could face up to a fine of $70,000 per day if they don't actually clean up this mess that they've made in a timely manner. So then it also says that they have committed $5.6 million in financial assistance to support to the town. So it's kind of it really wasn't something that really, it was something that kind of needed to be hit on or whatever, but just to kind of catch you up on or whatever, we already read this whole article. We read it, and it came from Vox, of all places, Vox, saying,
Oh yeah, I was here for
people living near an
first half of
Ohio
this.
train derail. Oh, okay. Will have to watch their health for somewhere around about 20 years, right?
Oh yeah, because it's dioxins. It's
Right.
That's what happens when you burn it. It specifically turns on it.
Kind of Move it along here while we go. Tira says, Koolfrogg, the mainstream media is playing this one way different, and they aren't mentioning Trump. And if they point that I didn't think he was even rallying the campaign, uh, in the campaign trail, I obviously was wrong when I looked. But it's interesting that they had learned from their mistake of the 2016 election cycle. Maybe. Um, Charlemagne says it feels like he might be laying low on purpose. Maybe, but you never know.
He who?
Trump.
Trump's not
Anyway.
laying low. What the frick you talking
Yeah, I
about?
don't think he is either.
What?
Let's kind of kick this up a little bit. Where are we at? We're almost 2 hours in. Dang. Tennessee legislator passes bill to ban medical gender transitions on children. Congratulations, Tennessee. Good job. Good job. The Tennessee state legislature passed a bill that would ban the use of puberty blockers, hormone therapy, surgical operations on children in order to change their gender. The legislation now awaits Governor Bill Lee's signature. Lawmakers in the state house passed the legislation 77-16, with 3 Democrats voting with the Republicans. After allowing the grace period of those who have already begun to attempt a transition, the bill will authorize the Attorney General to investigate healthcare providers who violate the ban, who could be fined up to $25,000. The House Majority Leader William Lambert remarked that these children do not need these medical procedures to be able to flourish as adults. They need mental health treatment. They need love and support. And many of them need to be able to grow up to become the individuals that they were intended to be. Similar bills were gaining traction in various other Republican-led states, including Nebraska, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Dakota, and South Carolina. Meanwhile, the American Civil Liberties Union has signaled that it intends to challenge the bill in court if it is signed into law. All Tennesseans should have access to health care they need to survive and thrive. I don't see you thriving if you're going to be doing all that, but okay. Legislatures are risking trans young people's health, well-being, and safety with this dangerous legislation. I love the fact that they actually gone to the point of where they did. Me being in South Dakota myself and seeing similar bills being potentially passed to actually eliminate such a thing at such a young age, in my opinion, is where it needs to be. Allowing people to transition their children to something that they're not necessarily is dangerous in itself. Uh, Tennessee lawmakers promised to take action after investigation. The Daily Wire host Matt Walsh found that Vanderbilt officials had referred to transitions, particularly sex changes operations, as big money makers. The investigation first. The investigation first prompted Republican Governor Bill Lee to call an investigation into Vanderbilt University Medical Center in September. In addition, Breitbart News revealed last year that Vanderbilt Health was the sole sponsor of the kid and family portion of Nashville Pride Parade, which included both drag bingo and drag queen story hour. Tennessee state legislatures also recently passed a bill that would prevent drag shows from taking place in front of children or in public property. The bill, SB 3, is now also heading to Republican Governor Bill Lee's desk. Congratulations, Tennessee, for actually, realizing what's actually happening and actually getting past that and passing these bills to actually disallow children to go under and do such a thing to themselves. It's disgusting. It's disgusting that we allow children to make up decisions at such a young age.
They
about
don't know what
something
half this stuff is
so
anyway.
permanent.
It's the evil parents that want to mutilate and abuse their children on behalf of the climate change, new world order, destroy and sterilize people cult, and they want to harm their own children on purpose. I mean, it's basically, it's their religious sacrament to the devil is to sterilize and harm and mutilate their children, I guess. So yeah, no more of that now. Yeah. And
So yeah,
Tennessee.
congratulations to them for actually getting something passed through their legislatures to actually go to being signed by their governor, their Republican governor that most likely will sign without an issue. Like it says, multiple other states are actually passing similar laws, which is great. If you actually seen what those states were again, those were Nebraska, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Dakota, and South Carolina. Let's move on a little bit. Ron DeSantis signs legislation officially ending Disney's self-governing status.
Oops.
Ooh. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Monday signed legislation officially ending Disney's self-governing status nearly a year after the company went full groomer, vowing to fight against the pro-parent parental rights and education bill, which the governor signed into law last year. DeSantis signed the parental rights education bill last year, which in part prevented classroom discussions on orientation and gender identity for children in kindergarten through third grade. 5 to 8 year olds don't need to know about this stuff. They don't need to. There's 5 to 8 year olds. They need their minds are very malleable. They don't need this shit. They need to actually be taught properly. What's up, ID Crisis? Good to see you, brother. That set up a full-blown war between DeSantis' administration and Walt Disney, which had already forged a path in pushing the LGBTQA plus agenda on children in shows and movies as the Florida legislature began to move.
Hold on a second. Look up there. You skipped over the Disney statement. Or unless this Disney statement is further on in the
the statement's right here. Isn't it? Or
that's DeSantis, right?
This one here?
Yeah.
Florida HB 157. Yeah, pretty sure I thought that came through again. I just didn't want to read it twice. It doesn't look like it actually does come through again, does it?
No.
Florida HB 1557, also known as the Don't Say Gay Bill, should never be passed and should never have been signed into law. Our goal as a company is for this law to be repealed by the legislature or struck down in the courts. Remain committed to supporting the national state organizations working to achieve that. We are dedicated to standing up for the rights and safety of LGBTQ plus members of Disney family, as well as the LGBTQ plus community in Florida and across the country.
Oh, dang. This was from March 2022. I'm sorry. I thought this was a recent statement. My apologies.
No, that's an old statement.
Yeah, that was the original statement that they made.
Right.
To all of this goings on. So, anywho, sorry about that.
So then, no, you're okay. So now we're to this bill that he's actually going through here or whatever. So we want our kids to be kids. We want them to be able to enjoy entertainment school without having an agenda imposed upon them. And so if you're going that way as a corporation, those are not the values that we want to promote in the state of Florida. We want to promote the safety of our students and our rights of our parents. So we had the situation here that was basically indefensible from the policy perspective. How do we give one theme park its own government and then treat all other theme parks differently? DeSantis asked, deeming it bad policy, which was not justifiable or sustainable. All of the I'll be signing the bill momentarily, and that will officially end the self governing status where in Central Florida for Disney, adding that legislation will also end Disney's exemption from the Florida Building Code and Florida Fire Prevention Code. It will end Disney's exemption from the state regulatory reviews and approval. It will end Disney's secrecy by finally ensuring transparency about what goes on in the area. It will ensure that it pays its fair share of taxes. It will prevent local governments dominated by leftist politicians from using these situation to raise local taxes. The governor said, promising that this will be no additional tax burden on any Floridian. This bill is a structure that we've created in this bill will ensure that the municipal debt that's been wrapped up will be paid by Disney, not Florida taxpayers. And so this is the accountability looks like. This is what standing up for Florida taxpayers on the rule of law looks like, he added. The state of Florida is the new sheriff in town. DeSantis said, announcing members of the new state-controlled, which will responsible for governing the area. I'm pleased to announce I'm going to later today formally appoint the following to control board. He said, which will include Attorney Martin Garcia of Tampa to serve as chairman, Seminole County Attorney Michael Sasso, Clearwater Attorney Brian Ongst, Sarasota County School Board member Bridget Ziegler, and the Gathering USA CEO Ron Perry. They've got a lot of work to do. You got to ensure that all these laws are applied. You got to ensure that the debt is paid, and you got to ensure that the fair share of taxes are paid. And so there's going to be getting to work very soon. So buckle up. There's a lot to get done, and one of the things that I've asked them to do when they convene week from Wednesday is to look at the compensation for the first responders and give them more compensation from doing a good job. And so I hopefully will be able to get that, he added. So
I love ID in the chat too. Like, I love how he uses their rhetoric against them. Pay their fair share. Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Get wrecked.
That's
Get freaking
get
wrecked.
wrecked. Here you go. Use your own words against you. Have fun.
Have fun with that,
Get
leftoid freaks.
Right. So that's kind of interesting to see that he's actually getting a bill actually signed and ready to actually hold them actually accountable for what is actually happening. I have these freaking 30 different articles up today. White House announces another departure as Karine Jean-Pierre swipes at Trump. She actually kind of jumped at him today. It was kind of funny. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre had to behave in an unprofessional manner
Cringe.
as she announced the departure of Communications Director Kate Bedingfield. When she made the announcement on Friday during the White House press briefing, this is from last Friday, that's right. During the White House press briefing, she took a swipe at former President Donald Trump, who was referred to Bedingfield as one of the President Joe Biden's unalivers. And finally, there's a bittersweet day for us, a bittersweet moment for the communications and press teams and all of us here at the White House. I've gotten to know Kate Bedingfield as a colleague and as a friend, being in the trenches together and representing the president's agenda together. In the trenches together, huh? I've actually known Kate since 2007. That's a whole nother story. But Kate has been fighting this fight in behalf of the president long before the campaign was launched, going back to when she was his communications director and vice president.
Oopsie.
She's been a trusted source of strategic advice and an unflinching voice for her president's message and values, playing an integral role in our success these first 2 years and on the campaign. She's also a pillar to this team, which she helped build the deputy campaign manager across the primary and general elections. She said before taking a swipe at the former president. I understand that after a certain previous occupant of this White House, whose name will be nameless, but as you know, who's the person you know who this person is. He got angry and yelled and said, quote, Biden has a team of killers and I've got all I've got is defense, she said. Okay, so that was in the campaign. That was the campaign communications team started calling Kate and the captain of the team of um, killers.
By the
That
way, could you imagine if Donald Trump and his people ever said anything remotely like this?
right?
They'd be like,
It's
"Oh
just
my god!" He said that they're killers. Ah! They just lose their mind. They go crazy. They'd
ID
all be like,
crisis.
"Breaking
Punch that
news!"
trench. Oh
Oops.
my God. Disney went full simple jack. That doesn't surprise me at all because there's one thing Kate is, and she is a leader. We're very sad to see her go, but no
3
one
years
has
goes by,
earned some
Kate.
of.
It's
Bye,
just
Kate.
bye. Don't let the door hit you in
Later.
the ass on the way out.
Uh, thank God. Good riddance. We're very sad to see her go, but no one has earned some time with their children, spouse, and dog more than Kate. And I look forward to welcoming Ben LeBolt. Ben LeBolt. Remember that name. As you know, as you all know, he has been announced to replace Kate as communications director back at the White House.
I didn't know that, jackass.
Ben LeBolt. We're gonna remember that name. We're gonna remember that
Yeah,
name because
cringe.
he's gonna. There's something. This dude's gonna do some stupid shit,
Cringe, Jean Pierre.
right? Ben has had a top role communications role with the last three successful Supreme Court nominations by Democrat presidents. We all got to work with him closely when he was the head of communications for the confirmation of um, just of what confirmation of Justice Jackson, and we're glad that he is coming back to be a more permanent part of the team. Ben the Bolt's going to be a piece of work. We're all going to laugh at Ben the Bolt several times over the next year or so. I've known Ben for many years, including both Obama Biden campaigns and the Obama Biden White House, where he worked on climate change and civil rights. Climate change. I was happy to reconnect with him when he took over communications for nominations during the transition, helping advance the case in the most diverse cabinet in history. And for the host of groundbreaking sub-cabinet positions as well, the press secretary said, he brings a cutting-edge understanding of modern communications to the table, and know he will fight hard for the president's agenda in the upcoming months and years. I also know that Ben is making history. As you know, we believe here in the Biden Harris White House that representation matters. We will be the first openly gay communications director, which is very, very important indeed. That's the important part because he's the first openly gay communications director.
Well, she's a lesbo, so
Well, but that's the and we get that.
so
We get
they'll
that
all
she is. We
be
all know that she is
a
that
bunch
already.
of anti-procreating, clown show freakazoids that'll be running around with the Rainbow. Yay. Because that's what it's all
Are you curious to get
about.
Koolfrogg's attention to John's posts? John the Revolver, you might want to tell your friend Madcore starting a second channel for Divinity is violation of terms of service. He's been reported by Defango. You know, he's not. He knows that. They both know that. So if they know. That's not something.
And who is this John the Revelator?
Some Farron simp, or if not Farron herself.
Well, you know what? If you have something to say to Mr. Madcore, and I was going to say something about this after you got done with the chat, because I'm a little pissed off with this bullshit of
Same.
some
We're not talking about it.
rinky-dinky bastard wants to walk
fuck
his
off.
ass over
We're not
here
talking about it.
and sit here and wants us to relay a message to Madcore as some kind of intimidation tactic. This sort of like passive aggressiveness and like this intimidation.
Go
Of
take
like,
it to
I'm
Madcore.
not actually going to
Don't bring
tell
it here.
him.
I
I'm going to
don't
let
care.
you be the messenger boy because, ooh, we're winning this or ooh, we're doing whatever. Yeah, no, like screw the hell off. Okay. I'm you know, you bunch of bastards want to float the hell around and do this shit. Like, no. You have something to say. Neither I nor Koolfrogg are your damn little messenger boys, okay? So you can either go to Madcore and tell him yourself, or you can go straight to hell. How about that? Okay? Enough with your horse shit.
And there you go. So to continue, Klein's exact timeline is still not set, for sources said that he is expected to stay in the West Wing for a period of time to help with the transition period for his replacement. One of the people said the State of the Union address on February 7th. Klein's departure would come at a difficult time for Biden, with the special counsel investigating his handling of classified information after his time as vice president and with the administration of the president's family facing renewed scrutiny by the GOP-controlled U.S. House of Representatives. An official familiar with Klein's plans said that his decision to step down is not related to the investigation underway, but classified documents found at Biden's private office and Delaware residence and the decision being made before the special counsel was announced. Biden has not settled on a choice for his next White House chief of staff and is discussing casting an even wider net for potential replacements. Another official said the president is known for being deliberative in making major decisions, particularly one of significant as the chief of staff, his officials added. So, you know, there you go. We get another openly gay, and they have to actually say that he's gay because, you know, he's white. Otherwise, you'd be just, oh, he's just another white dude.
Right, exactly.
I look at the message about Madcore and Defango turning him into YouTube. I don't care. I don't. That's not why we're here tonight. We're not here to talk about that shit. We're here to talk about news and politics. That's what this channel's about at night. That's what we've done for the better part of over a year. I'm sick of this channel being taken and turned into somebody else's punching bag. Don't care. I do. I care about her. I care about divinity in her stuff. I don't care about everybody else's bullshit coming in here freaking riling people up and trying to change my show to yours. It's not yours. It's mine.
Well, and again, I mean, like, you know, like, I mean, who the hell does this bastard think that he is to just float the hell in here and just be like, oh, well, you all will be my messenger boys to your friend over there. Like, no, you can go to hell. Like, you can tell him yourself and shut the hell up. Because as he said, this is not about this, our broadcast here.
Right.
And so you're just floating in here trying to stir up, as he said, this kind of drama. No. No,
Oh.
you have something to say, go tell him yourself. This is not some sort of, battle between the Greeks and the Persians, like people like these freakazoids want to make it out to be, like this grandiose whatever the hell. Like, screw the hell off. You have something to say, go damn well say it yourself.
Go find somebody else to
Anywho's.
talk your shit about. These last set of articles before we actually do go switch over to Rumble. I mean, we're at 2 hours right now. They pretty much, all kind of run right into each other, for the most part. So you got Dwayne Wade's child legally changes ID to female despite birth mother's opposition. Changed the name from Zion to Zaya, and
What
the courts of LA gave permission, complete and total permission, for them to change their name, regardless to the parents' wants or needs. So here's the Gabrielle Union. When you actually think about it, Zion, born a boy, came home and said, "Hey, so I want to talk to you guys. I think I'm going forward. I'm ready to live my truth. I want to be referenced as she and her. I would love if you guys would call me Zaya."
Oh my God. How old is this individual?
This is just a teenager, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my God. Yes, let's permanently embarrass
15.
a young man for the rest of his life. Yes.
15.
And let's allow him to destroy himself.
Let's
that's what society's for.
Destroy your life because, the judge said so. Judge says it's okay.
Right. Exactly, yeah.
Div, I see you, dear. I see you. We do serious politics and news, and then hops into the story. LOL. It's news. It's politics. That's pretty much what it comes down to. This is straight up politics when it comes down to it. That one shouldn't be there.
Well, yeah, because there's judges and these other people in these areas just allowing kids to just walk up and burn themselves alive, basically. They're like, yeah, sure, whatever, you can, yeah. We'll let other adults mutilate you or, give you different titles or whatever. It's fine. We'll just destroy your life before it gets started. Well, it's cool.
Okay. So, that is what it is. Yet again, another person being allowed by the court system, not under mom's discretion or dad's, but by the court system to be like, "Oh, yep, you can do what you want."
The state
we're
coming in
gonna allow this,
and just saying, "Oh yes, of course." The brainwashing that all of us global elites have put onto you to make you think that you have to do this or that you think you should. Yeah, that's fine. And then we'll come in and then we'll just enable all of this and give total legal license to all of this, aka we're doing this to you the entire length of the road while you think you're doing it to yourself. So it's
the child was two celebrities. Yes, 2 celebrities. All right, so to kind of kick it up here a little bit. So James Bond's books are reportedly being rewritten to remove racist and sexist remarks. So if you got some of the older versions of these books, they might actually be worth something someday, because they're actually going to go try and rewriting all of them to take out anything that was considered racist connotations or sexual descriptors. So it's like are they going to totally change the name of Octopussy? Is it not ever going to be that? They're going to change characters like Odd Job. They're going to actually do strange things where these books are not ever going to seem ever the same ever again.
And it's pretty rich because this whole James Bond thing, if you don't know, was used by British intelligence along with American intelligence as a thing for, they freaking would show these films and things, and they would do other things on the ground, of course, not just the films themselves, but this was one of the vectors by which they would try to stir up revolution. This is how they started up the Cultural Revolution, or the or the the Cultural Revolution stuff. The what's the word I'm looking for? Color Revolution. That's what I'm looking for. But this was used as propaganda to like make everybody think it's so great and grand, like all of this stuff from like our intelligence agencies, when in reality they're building all this stuff up to turn against you. But so it's kind of rich in a way, but I mean I understand culturally where it's like, okay, yeah, like he's seen as this male icon and has all of this sexual imagery and stuff, which was purposeful. It was all purposeful. The guy who wrote the books was also involved with British intelligence and stuff, and he was also involved with propaganda stuff as well. Some people. So, anyways, but
you
yeah,
only unalive twice.
right, exactly. See, ID is already coming up with all the new names. Isn't it great? ID is going to make a killing. He's going to be the first one to present it, and he'll dye his hair blue and his beard purple, and he'll be like, "Yay, guys! I came up with this," and they'll just buy a hook, line, and sinker. Oh, he has to put on lipstick too.
Doctor, well, I guess
with
so.
an earring. The spy who got my consent. Ah! Oh my god!
License to chill. Thank you, Pastor. Doctor, maybe
for your ableist eyes. Oh my god! Oh my god! This chat is genius.
Yep. Chat's always
pure
the best.
Genius. I'm telling you, do like freaking James Lindsay did, and just like go full blown libtard and be like, yeah, we should do this, whatever. Make $1 million and then turn around and laugh in their face, like it'd be great.
Winning reality, you lucky bastard. He actually got green letters over on the Rumble side.
Really?
Yeah. They changed all the names. They give different colors, like purples, blues, greens, whatever. Yeah, winning reality is green. Lucky. Nick says 1 or 2. Koolfrogg. Now that these bans are being put down in writing as laws, you do know that what's next, the definition and age when childhood ends, which already kind of exists. Like, you need to be 13 to sign up on some, if not all, social sites. 13? 13's too young. Just saying. Keep your kids off of social media as long as you possibly can.
Pastor Rapture says, "Of course we're genius. That is evil genius."
Indian Casino Royale.
Anyway. Indian Casino Royale.
From the Tinks with Love.
Yes, because it says from Russia with love. You can't have the word Russia in anything. So yes.
Tweety put it as from Russia with friendships, but yeah. See, you're still using that Russia thing.
Yeah. You can't use the Russia. Go. It's close.
Go Hagen says Indian is racist. So yes, native Casino Royale.
Oh no, it's racist. You got to say racist.
I know. Well, it does.
RHAASSIST, racist. Racisms.
Mark Wahlberg attacked for presenting SAG award to Asian cast for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So this group of Asians come up to go and pick up their award, and now Mark Wahlberg, who's just there just to present the award, is being ridiculed for his appearance as the host role. Came 35 years after he convicted as a teenager of assaulting 2 Asian men. So because he did something 35 years ago, he should not be the guy that's up there actually presenting an award to Asian people, because he's still the same person that he was 35 years ago, which we all know isn't true, because even if you knew me, even whatever, if you've known me in the last 2 years, you've seen how much I've changed personally. You're gonna say that this guy hasn't changed in 35 years, not a single thing. You're gonna go and sit there and you're gonna hold him down and be like, you're wrong for presenting this award to Asian people. He presented the award. He didn't beat him up before he gave him it. They look pretty fine with each other there. Just saying. Biden makes racist comment as Black History event, then gets completely befuddled.
Of course he does. What the hell else would you expect at this point?
Lord, this is so funny.
I can't hear it because you're not sharing the audio.
Oh, I don't have the volume over there. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let's get the volume over there.
Oh my God, this is so rich. It's so bad.
It's horrible.
Listen, folks.
But I'm not stupid.
I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid.
Just replay that once more.
I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid. I know where the power is. I know where you think I'm joking. I learned a long time ago about the. I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid.
I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid.
Oops.
Oh, Higgins says Woody Harrelson was great. I actually have that clip. We're going to actually play it over on the Rumble side. So if y'all haven't actually seen it, make sure you make yourself over there when we get over there. But I'm not a white. I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid. I know where the power is. Really? White boy? How ridiculous of this 80-year-old piece of crap. At all turns.
I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid.
To be as racist as he
Just
ever
can't
had been.
freaking help himself. He just doesn't know what else to do because he's always been a racist piece of crap. And so it's just his brain has lost all sense of self and filtering any amount of thought. So it's just all pouring out at this point. Just like he said, we have the largest voter, you know what, organization in the history of the nation, something that starts with an F and an R and an AUD and a whatever and a, Slav Ukraini. So I mean, it's he just can't help himself to say stuff, It's just whoops. Sorry. That's what I was thinking.
Pastor says he is
no
white
filter.
and as stupid as Joy Reid Barr.
Oh my God. Now what are they supposed to do?
So
Yeah,
then,
screw
being
off.
that we're speaking of racism, so the formerly black identifying Dilbert cartoonist dropped his U.S. newspaper over alleged racist comment. I had this article pulled up, and I was ready. I was gonna make sure that it was gonna be
This
presented.
is really interesting.
Well, then all of a sudden, as I'm like looking through articles, Jimmy YouTube actually sent me a little thing from Salty Cracker. Salty Cracker says, look at what we're actually paying attention to, and look what we're not paying attention to. The video that he gave me or whatever from Salty Cracker was very interesting. It was very interesting to the point that he actually alluded to the point of us paying attention to something like this and not paying attention to this group of black men that are actually shooting up at a gas station about 10 days ago. Not a single person's heard about this. I went digging around trying to find articles about it. I couldn't find anything. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I just can't, seriously, I can't actually physically show the Salty Cracker because it's Salty Cracker. Obviously, you can't show Salty Cracker on YouTube. We know better. We're not going to do that. So, but formerly black identifying Dilbert cartoonist dropped his U.S. newspapers over alleged racist comments. And this is cartoon satirist political commentator Scott Adams, who formerly identified as a black man, is canceled over comments he made about some people have alleged to be racist. On February 23rd, a day after he made the comments on a podcast, Real Coffee with Scott, saying that he doesn't want to have anything to do with black people anymore, multiple liberal media outlets said they would no longer publish his comic strips. Based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the expletive away from black people. Just get the expletive away. Wherever you go, just get away because there's no fixing this. Adam65 made a comment in response to what he said was a provocative Rasmussen poll, which asked 1,000 Americans whether they agree or disagree with the statement, "It's okay to be white." Of the black Americans who responded, 26% said that they didn't think it was okay to be white, and 21% said that they weren't sure. Adding them together, some 47% of black respondents were not willing to say it is okay to be white. If nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, according to the poll, not according to me, according to the poll, that's a hate group, and I don't want to have anything to do with them. I think he's kind of maybe sort of coming close to telling the truth on that. Why would you actually go around and ask such a question? Is it okay to be white? That's like asking, is it okay for me to be a man? No, it's not. Apparently not in today's day and age. Nope.
Yep.
Not
Nope.
unless I actually claim to be something else as well. So they're canceling the guy and all this stuff across almost every newspaper because, yeah, because of that. So just ignorance.
Well,
ignorance.
and I don't know if I would even trust that poll because I mean, let's just be honest. Like, how many like normal black people do people know that are just like, yeah, I don't care. I mean, like, I know people. I do black people. They don't have a problem with me. I don't have a problem with them. Most people aren't like this. So I think feeding into this narrative is just bad on his part. And that's my view. I'm not taking into account the attack on, white people attack on white people because they want to try to stir up racial bullcrap. But, I'm not saying that doesn't exist. And I'm not saying that there aren't like black gangs of people that go crazy. And I'm not saying that there aren't racist people within, black community and all that, because sure there is, but it's not the majority of people. I don't think it's not the majority of people that I've ever run across. I've never had a problem with it. I don't know. Anyway, I guess we don't know, right? But I think I do.
Right.
I think it's pretty okay.
SNL paints grateful East Palestine residents as repulsed by Trump visit. Really? Oh, I think I have to actually.
Yeah, everybody's yelling and screaming and heckling at Pete Buttigieg, and they're cheering on Trump, and then SNL decides like, oh hey, we're gonna make fun and say the opposite was happening. I mean, if that wasn't propaganda, ladies and gentlemen, if this isn't total full-blown propaganda, don't believe your lying eyes, don't believe your lying ears type of stuff that our lovely elites have done with all forms of television. Well, if you didn't believe that before, you should believe that now, because it's exactly what
If
it
I
is.
could just play the SNL clip without getting yeeted, I would do it, but I know that I
Right.
can't. So Donald Trump visited East Palestine, the site of the recent train derailment, because Trump usually likes to try to make himself look better by standing next to a train wreck. These are the jokes that were actually put out there by SNL. Totally was just dog Trump. Who cares? Like they've been doing for as long as they have, and that's the joke that he comes with, because he's like standing next to a train wreck to make himself look better. While visiting a disaster site, Trump also gave out bottles of Trump-branded water. He continued with a punchline that residents said, "Thanks, but we'd rather drink the toxic train water." Really? Those are some great jokes, Colin Jost. You piece of crap.
Oh my! That is so bad. And it's not even like, oh well, it's I'm not saying it's not funny. It's horrific. It's terrible. You're making fun, like you're literally making fun of these people's plight and potential death. And you're saying, oh yeah, sure, we'd rather, do that. I mean, it's like it's so distasteful and disgusting. It's almost unbelievable. But that's what they're doing. Because again, people, the global, our elite class, they hate you. Okay? It's not just like they, we just don't like some of those people. They hate you. They hate you. And they will make fun of your plight and laugh in your face as you can't feed your children and as your kids have chemical burns and rashes all over their body and, are crying and screaming at night because they can't even put covers on without them having a burning and painful sensation all the time.
Ohio
So,
residents.
Yep.
I wasn't sharing the screen.
Bunch of screwy bastards. Except the one guy that made the appearance at the beginning. He was kind of based.
While Jost makes light of the train disaster, he spilled toxic chemicals in the environment. This reporter spoke with residents of East Palestine who expressed gratitude to truckloads of water Trump delivered to the town, where many people were worried about the water quality as a result of the recent train derailment. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden has yet to step foot in the small Ohio town after the train disaster left residents in disarray and seeking answers. I sincerely hope that when your representatives and all of the politicians get here, including Biden, they get back to touring Ukraine, that he's got some money left over, Trump said Wednesday. After buying food for everyone in East Palestine and McDonald's, including the entire fire department, police department, Trump told Breitbart News that Biden should have already visited the town, but chose to go in a different route. SNL is just going to make light of the whole thing.
Yeah, as though there wasn't anything else to make fun of with Biden or any of the rest of these people constantly every freaking day. Like, oh, I don't know, the racist comment Biden just made.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's nothing like that you can go after, but let's go after the American people and make fun of them and, make light of the plight that they're facing that could potentially lead to their death. But hey, it's fine. It's okay. Let's just mock them and make fun of them and mock the person that's helping them all at the same time.
In actual footage, Trump. They're all chanting. They were excited that he was there, but they're going to make light of it and be like, oh, no, they didn't really care for him to be there. They didn't want him to be there at all. No, wrong. They wanted him to be there. If you actually look at like election maps or whatever and actually pay attention to East Palestine, you'd actually see that the majority of East Palestine actually did vote for Trump. Kind of interesting. Brian Cranston says Trump's "Make America Great Again" slogan could be construed as a racist. Oh, okay. Thanks, Brian Cranston. Thanks for being.
Are you trying to share an article? Because the article's not on screen.
Damn it.
Oh, because you had the one tab rather than multiple tabs.
I did.
To show that
I was thinking that it still was on the window, and it wasn't, obviously. There you go. Brian Cranston says Trump's "Make America Great Again" slogan could be construed as racist. Breaking Bad star Brian Cranston is no fan of former President Donald Trump "Making America Great Again" slogan. In an interview Sunday with CNN's Chris Wallace, the actor argued that MAGA could be construed as racist. When I see the "Make America Great Again," my comment is, do you accept that it could possibly be construed as racist? Remark, Cranston said. And a lot of people go, how could that be racist? Make America great again? Just ask yourself, from an African American experience, when was it ever great in America for an African American? When was it great? with such a
Oh, I don't
question
know,
being
like Black Wall
asked,
Street. I don't know, like George Washington, Carver, Booker T. Washington, the Tuskegee Institute that they all built up, and everything else. Black schools being better than all the white schools in the southern United States. I don't know.
or
Like you
how about
having
even
better
if we just
families,
start with
better
2016 and
communities.
say, oh, even in 2016 through the previous administration, that everything that he had actually done with HBCUs and whatnots, maybe it's the best time now. Just saying, he finally made it great.
Oh my God! Look at ID Crisis's thing. Pouring milk on your cereal could be construed as racist. Weren't they saying this a while ago, right? Weren't they saying that like milk and like milk products and all these different things, like that's racist because it's like whiteness being poured into everything? It's like I'm pretty sure somewhere, I don't know how long ago now, because God, these people are so damn crazy. I don't remember exactly when, but I'm pretty sure that they were saying something like that before.
Hold on.
Maybe just Cocoa
Suzanne
Pebbles.
says goodbye, I mean no harm. Yeah, that's cool.
Oh my God. Yes, the Cocoa Pebbles.
Trying to figure out what happened there. It sounds like something happened there. So goodbye, I mean no harm. We don't take none from you, Suzanne. It's all good.
Huh?
We like you around here. I don't know what happened. Really don't. Just I was trying to look back. This is Tweety. That's not cool. I don't really know what Tweety actually said. I really don't. Seems like they're fabricating reasons for outrage. Maybe. I mean, sure. Snow is now racist. Yep.
Yes, snow is indeed racist. Is there any snow in Africa? No. Is there snow here where there's a lot of white people? Yes, and snow is racist. It's just the way it is, folks. Where there's a lot of white people, snow tends to follow. It's just a thing, It's just racist. We need to like de-racist the weather. And we can do it if we follow Bill Gates' orders as he sprays the whole sky with volcanic, a fake artificial volcanic winter. Then we might be able to, not have as much precipitation and all the rest of that. And maybe we'll stop the snow and we'll stop being so racist.
That means we can dig for coal again? ID crisis?
Oh my God. That can be construed in a number of ways. Oh my.
It sure can.
Oh dear.
Okay, so here you go. Federal agency warns millions of Microsoft users to update settings. If you don't feel like you're already being watched and paid attention to, look again. The U.S. Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency issued more alerts related to security vulnerabilities exploited in attacks targeting Windows, Adobe products, and Mozilla software. The fresh alert was alongside a CISA alert that was sent out for administrators and users to update Apple products, including iPhones and iOS software. Microsoft has released updates to address multiple vulnerabilities in Microsoft software. An attacker can exploit some of these vulnerabilities to take control of the affected system. A similar bulletin is released in Mozilla and Adobe. CISA, which operated the Department of Homeland Security, said that it advises users to review Microsoft's February 2023 security update guide and deployment information and apply the necessary updates. So they really want February 2023, which is right now, for the majority of us to actually take and update our products, our Microsoft products, with um, these new updates. So this is according to Microsoft, is a patching 3 previously exploited vulnerabilities. They name them out, and then in February 2023, patch fixes those, the company says. The attack itself is carried out locally by users with authentication to the targeted system. An, an authenticated attacker can exploit the vulnerability by convincing a victim through social engineering to download and open a specially crafted file from a website, which could lead to local attack on the victim computer. I mean, it sounds dangerous that, you really seriously should not open something, click on something, or do anything if you don't know what it's going to do. They're actually putting a security update out there, and they're telling you to update yourself, now, to prevent this from actually being able to occur. Now, it's been able to occur previously, so are they fixing it, or are they making it easier for themselves to actually attach to our product? That's my thought. That's my
That's
thought.
the
And I'm really serious.
question.
Right. That's where I'm concerned. Now they're trying to tell us that we need to hurry up and do this next security patch.
Try out
We
some
need to do it
Linux,
now.
people. Try out some Linux. And Linux is not as bad as it used to be, as the learning curve or anything like that. I use Linux, and it operates the same way that you would use a Windows system, and it's just fine. And I don't have to update anything if I don't want to. The updates are from the Linux distributors and community, which is all open source. You can see everything about it if you wish. You can, ask some questions about anything you want. There's no automatic updates. There's nothing like that. Everything is underneath of your own control. You control your PC. Get yourself some Linux.
Linux. Do it. So then here's a last article here on the YouTube side. We will actually switch over, and we'll do a very few things over on the Rumble side.
Hey, look who it is in the chat.
You got
Cash.
Kid Cash. What's up, dude?
Is this the Cash from the
Yes.
Joe Neerman?
Yes.
What's up, bro? How's it going?
Good to see you, man.
Long time no speaketh too.
So, like I said, last article here on the YouTube side, another blizzard hits California Monday through Wednesday. Oh, this is an article from today. It says another blizzard is set to hit California's interior Sierra Nevada mountain range, just days after a similar storm brought rain and snow to the entire state from the northern coast of the foothills of Southern California. California, dealing with snow, dealing with blizzard-like conditions. Global warming for sure. Where'd you go? It's like, I don't want to talk about global warming. The National Weather Service of Sacramento has issued a blizzard warning lasting through early morning on Wednesday, warning of heavy snow accumulations in the mountains and wide wind gusts of up to 70 miles per hour. The Sierra Nevada is hunkering down as snow again pelts the region, bracing for a dangerous blizzard that weather officials expect to close roads, fell trees, and cut power, with whiteout conditions making travel near to impossible. Sunday's burly weather system brought sub-freezing temperatures and blew in snow that shut down part of I-80. During an evening commute, meteorologists reported a blizzard warning in effect for Monday morning into early Wednesday morning, a serious notice that weather officials haven't issued since January of 2021. Those of you of us that are friends that are living in California, stay warm.
Hope you like
And-
snow.
I hope you actually enjoy some snow.
Ah,
It's very, very interesting to see such a thing actually
yeah.
occur.
Yeah.
The other day, I was actually speaking with couple of us where we were speaking with Divinity or whatever, and she was actually outside, and she was actually showing us it actually snowing. And now
I know
they're
she said
looking.
she's never didn't she say she never saw snow before?
I'm not positive on that for sure, but yeah, I mean, isn't that something? You know, there could be multiple people in California just never actually seen snow, but yeah, it's snow all the way through. But yes, global warming for sure, definitely. So much of it.
Don't you understand, Koolfrogg? It cools before it warms, and then it warms before it cools. Like, hello? Don't you get it?
Sure, okay. Tweetiest news. I-80
Like,
through
in order for
Wyoming
the
is
ice age to
always
ice up, it had to get warm, you know?
closes weekly basis. Yeah, yeah. I-80 all the way through that whole this whole area, because you know I-80 runs through Dakotas, all the way through Wyoming, down in through into California. So as far as that goes, yeah, I-80's always had issues. Um, Tristan Koolfrogg, I have not had any snow yet. I'm in South New Jersey, says Leany.
But frickin' San Diego will get snow. Hey, that's not weird at all. Anyway,
No, not at all. What's up, JS? Morning to you. So now that you
top of the
just showed up,
morning to you there.
we're actually going to take off from the YouTube side. If you guys want to actually, you all want to make yourself
Rumble.
over to the Rumble side, I'm going to actually go and copy and paste this into the description or into the chat itself.
I mean, if you give me my powers back, I could spam it. Spam.
I never
spam,
took your
spam.
wrench. You can still put it over inside the
That's
YouTube side.
I can't.
Yeah, you can. K-Cash 1999 says just because. Awesome. Thank you, brother. That's great. That makes you feel good. Thank you so much. In order for the ice age to start again, we need to melt off the ice caps to flood the ocean with fresh water and upset the global warm water distribution. Okay. TR says, Koolfrogg, I read the interesting article about the possible explanation of global temperature rise is that the thermometers are all put in cities which are warmer than the countryside, always blacktop. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, like freaking like in Europe it's just the same thing, if not worse sometimes. Like I was watching like Paul Joseph Watson talk about that, how they'll literally go out to an airport tarmac where planes will go up and down and they'll measure it like right on the blacktop and it'll just be like, oh my god, it's like 400 degrees or some crazy bullshit. And they'll just be like, it's the hottest thing on temperature, the hottest on record. Oh my god. It's like, I mean, I guess there wasn't blacktop there like several decades ago, maybe, like, you know, or maybe you just didn't measure it there where it got absorbed and got really hot with all kinds of activity going around. But hey, you know, who cares about that? Like, you know, like all you humans, all you people, all you plebs, you just need to like throw away your vehicles and your cars and your gas stoves and your electricity and everything else and get an electric car and just stay a while in your house, you know. That's how that works, you know. In your little pod.
All right. So
Anywho's.
we're gonna go and we're gonna kick ourselves out of this YouTube side of things. We're actually gonna go over Rumble and we're gonna cover.
Yes, float over to Rumble, ladies and gentlemen, like a Chinese
there's
balloon.
6 things. We'll actually do the Woody Harrelson thing at the very end to actually lighten the mood after we go through some koofness and a couple other things. It shouldn't be very long at all. It's going to be a fairly quick the shot over there, whatever, because the articles that there are, it really breaks down to there's like 3 important ones to actually look at or whatever. The rest of it's kind of just lead up to those couple of articles. So go ahead, make yourself over there, and we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you all so very much for being here on the YouTube side. Later.
Later, YouTube.